How am I doing as far as framing goes? Hello, Steve. Can you hear me, Steve? Can you hear me all right? Hi, Steve. Am I audible? Let me know if you can hear my voice. No, I can. I know I'm going live. What I'll do is I'll make sure I share it as well. How do I remember how I did this? How did I do this last time? You can. Hello, Matthew. Oh, thank you. Hear my voice. Right, share on Facebook. This is what I always forget to do normally, don't I? Share on Facebook. There we go. All right. Edwardian lady. Hello. Thank you. Thanks, Edwardian lady. Hello, Israel Diego Vera. V8 Mose. Hello. And Anthony Morn. Good evening. And Neptune Returns asked, all recognizable faces. It's good to see you. Oh, how are you all? I hope you're all doing well. Luke Griffin, good evening. It's great you're all here. It really is. Anybody else there? It's been a while since I did a live stream. I think my last one was January, sometime in January. Hi, Phil. How are you? Fake exit. Yeah, I'm glad you're back, Diego. Yeah, it's I'll be going into that in a bit more detail. Theresa Maynard. Are you all doing well, guys? Are you all happy? Or are you tearing your hair out like I am? Well, actually, bit tricky. Tear my hair out here. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining me, guys. Really appreciate it. What I'll do now is I will. Good evening, Ben Grizzly. Good evening. Thanks for joining me. Okay, guys. You too, Phil. Thank you. I'm going to got a little lead off here. I mean, it's a bit of a what is it? What kind of shambles? What kind of mess is going on in the politics of this country? And it's just so incredibly chaotic. And the thing is, I don't believe politicians like the ones we have could be that incompetent by accident. I believe, basically, as I said on previous live streams, this is deliberate sabotage. So if you've been keeping up with matters the last couple of days, they say 2 days is a long time in politics. It certainly is. MPs passed their verdict on the Prime Minister Theresa May's plan to take Britain out of the European Union on the 29th of March. As you know, this was basically, she was actually, if you remember originally, the original exit plan last month was rejected by a massive margin. It was the biggest government defeat since 1922. However, it wasn't really a defeat. It was exactly what Theresa May and her government planned. She put together a deal that was so unpalatable that no MP in their right mind would vote for it. And that has happened again. So that's happened again. So now we're in a situation where there is no deal. So when's Brexit going to happen? That's the question, because we're due to leave on the 29th of March. That's the default position. That's what it says according to the Article 50 Act. But at the moment, there's lots of different suggestions about when it could be extended to, because they're talking about an extension now, the end of May, the end of June, the end of the century. God knows. So the answer is, why is this happening? What's the main issue with this? And it's actually a thin blue line, which is 310 miles long. It's the border between the Irish Republic and Northern Ireland. And as I explained on the previous live stream, it's a border that has existed for almost 100 years now. It was formed under the Anglo-Irish Agreement of 1920, and it's functioned pretty well. I mean, during the Troubles in the 60s and 70s especially, they had army checkpoints along them. But generally, it's been treated as a border that's almost not there. It runs through some villages. It actually runs through a couple of people's houses, and some people live on one side and they work on the other side. You can just walk across it, drive across it whenever you like. Goods can come and go. It's all very, very simple. And this didn't change. Even when Ireland quit the British Commonwealth in 1947, that when it continued very, very smoothly. It's under the Anglo-Irish Agreement also, everybody on the island of Ireland is entitled to dual citizenship and a right to an abode on either side of that border. So it's one of the most functional borders in the world. It's an open border, and there's no reason why it shouldn't remain so. However, because of this thing called Brexit came along, suddenly now it's everything that happens with that border is now completely unworkable. And we're supposed to believe that's accidental. We're supposed to believe that that by some incredible there's something about Brexit inherently breaks down this perfectly functional system that's lasted for a century, or is this just an excuse? So, as we know, yesterday, 13th of March, or today, Wednesday, 13th of March, there was a vote which failed. So now, tomorrow, there's going to be a vote on extending Article 50. Excuse me. So when I'm talking, I either get an itchy nose, I get yawns, or I get sneezes, or all kinds of things like that, or coughing. There's going to be a vote on whether to extend Article 50, which is probably going to happen. I can't see how it won't happen now. The thing about it is, it's not a unilateral decision, though. I mean, it's all the government, all will be decided tomorrow, and I'm not going to be in tomorrow, so I won't be able to report on it until after I get home, which will be quite late. But I will be sure to report on it. Maybe I'll do another live stream, maybe on Friday or Saturday. So watch the channel for that. But it's basically a vote to ask permission from the EU for an extension to Article 50, which will require all the member states to agree. Or that's of course the commissioners who make the decision, and not the members of the European Parliament. You've got to remember, the European Parliament is just for show, so that the EU can call itself a parliamentary democracy. So it has a parliament that can do nothing, basically. MEPs can't propose legislation, they can't write bills, they can't submit bills, they can't repeal acts. All they have to approve the Commission and their acts. The Commission do all the propositioning, the legislation, the EU Parliament simply approves it. Once it's approved, it cannot be repealed. MEPs can't really do anything except talk for a couple of minutes, and their speeches are always very short. The power lies with the EU Commission. And I suggest you go to the previous videos I've made about Brexit. I did a very good one actually just a couple of days ago called Why 2016 Matters. And I do recommend watching that because that's very important. Basically, we have every a commission, the European Commission, which has a commissioner who's unelected and has complete total power from each member state. And they're never called countries, they're always called member states. The word country or nation is never used. That's very sinister. Now, there are 7 options. There's 7 ways this could end, and none of them look very good. Like the no deal, which has now been rejected. Well, there's actually 6 options now because no deal has just been rejected. There's a little flow chart I'm reading here. There could be a further vote on the Prime Minister's deal, this deal which Theresa May has designed to be completely and utterly unacceptable to members of Parliament. A renegotiation, which means going right back to the start, which will take another 3 years. And then there's 3 other things. There's 2 other things which will probably have the same effect, which is a vote of no confidence in the government and a general election. The one will follow the other. But the first vote, no confidence vote, will follow a general election. And then finally, the option then is to put it out to a second referendum, and that is where it's going. And then the final option is no Brexit. If you wanted to put together a hatchet job to destroy everything that's been done since the referendum of 2016, you couldn't come up with anything better than what we got now. There's all kinds of other options that have been suggested, such as here, no deal at a later date. You see, the vote on the no deal, I'll come more onto the votes that have been done today, but it's not actually in law yet, but it's as good as. So the renegotiation is like, if the EU can provide an extension of Article 50, the Parliament could vote on a new deal, and then that's it all sorted. A deal, renegotiation deal implemented. But if the EU could refuse, in which case there will be, it suggests a no deal, but no deal is now gone. But then again, the EU might want us out. I'll come to that in a minute. There's a general election, vote no confidence referendum. And it could end up, I've got a feeling there's a longer term strategy involved as well. Now, the idea of a second referendum, it would have to have the same status as the 2016 referendum, which would, they could even have a binding referendum rather than a non-binding one like the 2016 one was. Now, the rules for referendums are set out in law called the Political Parties, Elections and Referendums Act of 2000. There would have to be a new piece of legislation to make a referendum happen and determine the rules, such as who would be allowed to vote. Unless, of course, if they get the vote, you see what's happened is with the 2016 referendum is the rules were considered in advance. What the Ramonas are doing is saying they want to change the rules after the referendum. So the referendum options are non-binding referendum, question to be determined, extension of Article 50, legislation approved by Parliament, referendum is held. A binding referendum on the deal of remaining in the EU, and then you'd have to have that run through Parliament, and then the public could vote to leave the EU, back in the deal, or remain. And of course, then you go back to this cycle of no deal, general election, vote of no confidence, renegotiation, which is dragging us round on the roundabout again, hoping we'll fall off. There's all kinds of other things that could happen. I'll probably address those if and when they happen. But this is the sinister thing. The European Court of Justice has ruled that it would be legal for the UK to unilaterally revoke Article 50 and cancel Brexit without the need from the other 27 EU countries. And they use the word country here, although the EU never uses that. This is from the BBC. With the government still committed to Brexit like hell, it is very likely that a major event, such as a further referendum or change of government, would have to happen before such a move. They're giving them ideas. But however, any delay to Brexit would certainly lead to questions about whether the ultimate destination was going to be a reversal of the 2016 referendum. Duh! It's not totally clear what the process would be, but an act of Parliament calling for Article 50 to be revoked would probably be sufficient. Now, so the MPs voted to not leave the EU without a deal on the 29th of March. Now, the actual vote for a no deal was a free vote, but there was two amendments in which there was the whips which were used, which meant that the members of the party were expected to vote with the actual government motion because of being part of the Parliamentary Party. That's the Conservatives. The first rejected a no-deal Brexit at any time. The second called for a delay to Brexit March the 29th. So there we go. Now, Jeremy Corbyn, yes, the garden gnome of Parliament. Now, he's a strange character because people forget how long he's been in politics. He's actually been an MP for 45 years. For 42 of those years, he was a Eurosceptic. He was part of the Eurosceptic left of the Labour Party, along with Tony Benn. Then he becomes Labour leader and decides he likes the idea of the EU, but he said he would honour the referendum. Now he suddenly committed political suicide by saying that he supports a second referendum. And I covered that in more detail in my film, but the one I did, the video I did a couple of days ago called Why 2016 Matters. Now, Kenneth Clarke, who is a Bilderberger and a right old scumbag, he's put it very bluntly. He's the one who originally said that Brexit would not happen. He said this soon after the 2016 referendum. Maybe that's what the Bilderberg group told him. He said if Parliament votes against the idea of a no-deal Brexit, how the outcome be delivered? The only way of guaranteeing the outcome is to cancel Brexit by revoking Article 50. The PM's deal is dead in the water. Well, it was. She killed it. She meant it to be. Ah, yes. And then it was the Spellman's amendment is the one which seemed to be slipped in. Spellman's amendment. Caroline Spellman, the MP, actually originally drafted the bill and then decided to withdraw it. But then Yvette Cooper and someone else, another MP, former rival of Jeremy Corbyn, she was the co-signatory, and she submitted the bill. It was actually passed by 312 votes to 308 votes this evening. Very narrow, just 4 votes in it. And what's interesting is that the reason it won is because a number of high-level Tories actually defied the whip and abstained. One of them has now resigned. Well, one of them voted against it. Actually, voted against it and resigned. Now, that was not a free vote. So the thing is, was that accidental? I don't think so. I think they were told to abstain. So that essentially means that the Parliament it's not actually legally binding. It's not legislation, but it is a motion which says the Parliament is now opposed to any form of no-deal Brexit at all. Then there followed the main vote of the evening, which is the vote on whether to leave the EU without a withdrawal agreement on the 29th of March. This was defeated by 312. Where was that? No, that was 321 to 378. So that's now Parliament has rejected that, which is why they're going to ask the EU for an extension. Now Jacob Rees-Mogg, who I don't know, I'm not sure I trust him anymore, but he seems to talk sense a lot of the time. He says we can still leave on the 29th. That is the law. That the Spellman's amendment and indeed the actual what we have now, the second vote, is not law. The law, according to the Article 50 Act, says we leave on the 29th. Now that's then Theresa May then got up, and she's got a terrible cough at the moment, and as somebody joked on social media somewhere, she's got Pepe in her throat. Okay, she's got a keck in her throat. I thought it was fun. She got a terrible cough and she can hardly speak. Now she'd said that she was against any suggestion of revoking Article 50 because it would damage the fragile trust between the public and MPs. I mean, we're talking about an understatement, but of course that is what she's after. But she's not going to make it obvious that's what she wants to do. She's going to eventually revoke Article 50 or try to, because it's in a way that means that she has no other choice. She will push herself into a corner to make it look like she has no other choice. That's how they're going to do it. So tomorrow there's going to vote on it. There's going to be a vote on an extension. Nigel Farage is in the EU at the moment. He's trying to get other EU member states to veto the extension because all the member states commissioners have to agree to the extension. And I'm not sure they will actually, because see, it seems like since 2016, as I said in the Why 2016 Matters video, what happened with the referendum was not intended by the powers that be. The deep state did not want that to happen. I know some people say, "Oh no, Ben, it is. They're playing four-dimensional chess with us." No, that was a blow to the agenda. It was not intended. Just like Trump and him becoming president, that was not intended. And but it seems that there's a damage limitation operation going on. But the two parts of the cabal are disagreeing over how to do it. So one side, which is controlling Theresa May, is desperately trying to keep Britain in the EU, whereas the other side, which is in Brussels, is pretty keen on basically sacrificing us for the greater good of the EU. Because I believe, you see, the thing is, the European Union's on its last legs. It's finished. Give it a few more years and it's going to fall apart. But the thing is, it'll fall apart with or without Brexit. But I think in the EU, they realise it's going to fall apart quicker without Brexit. Because, to quote that phrase, the whole world is watching. Cancelling Brexit will what's that going to say to the other? What's that going to say to other member states and the people of other member states? It's going to say, you joined the EU, you can't get out. Article 50 is a sham, and they won't let you out. And they've already said, I mean, someone from the EU has already said they're concerned about the rise of populist parties in EU member states, which basically means political figures in some countries who are actually standing up for their own people and their own nations against this continental empire, this European dictatorship. And so they're concerned about that. So they may well sacrifice Britain, thinking it might hold the rest of the union together. It won't, but it may buy them some time. So I think some of them are thinking. So I think some of those, there's some thoughts I think in the EU Commission, which is it's not worth it. Just let Britain go. Let Britain go, and we can maybe save the rest of the union. The thing about it is it won't work, but I think there's a longer term strategy involved here, because they're not going to give up. Obviously, the New World Order agenda is a two-stage one of having continental superstates, which then emerge into a world government, a one-world dictatorial government. And this one-world dictatorial government would be like the ones George Orwell talks about in 1984, where there's Oceania and Eurasia and East Asia. I mean, he knew what was coming because he was a member of the Fabian Society. So, it's a strange situation, actually, because we have what we have in Britain is we have a mainstream politics, Parliament, where it's completely and utterly united against Brexit. There's no significant opposition at all in Parliament. I mean, UKIP has turned out to be a sham. Farage, as I've said in previous videos, Nigel Farage quit the party, and firstly he was obsessing over a matter of internal policy with the leader Jared Batten. It's to do with Tommy Robinson acting as an advisor and maybe becoming a member. And Farage obsessed over that and ended up quitting the party. And he decided to do this at the very moment that the UKIP was supposedly created for. This was meant to be the pinnacle, it was meant to be the complete telos of his political career. And he almost ignored it, which means there is absolutely no official mainstream political opposition to what's going on at the moment. Labour and Conservative are basically, there's not much between them now. And all the others, well, there's some like the SNP who are pushing the second referendum line more hard. Others are pushing back a bit more. But they're basically, there's no one actually saying we just got to honour the referendum of 2016. The referendum of 2016 has been treated. I mean, when it came out, I remember David Cameron saying, you know, we will have a referendum whether Britain stays in the European Union or not. And when it went to leave, when the leave vote side won, he said, that's it, Britain will leave the European Union. Now, a few years down the line, everyone's looking back at it, and it seems that's all gone down the memory hole. And the 2016 referendum has been treated as if it was just kind of just a little kind of interim opinion poll. That's how they're portraying it. And because most people have such short memories, that's how they're seeing it as well. It's a strange situation because in many ways, it's other countries within this dictatorship, within this continental hegemony, which are far more advanced in their road to freedom than we are. They're actually electing politicians into government who are committed to freeing their country, giving their countries independence. Italy, for example. What's his name? Matteo Salvini. He's a really good guy. And they've got a really decent man in power who could actually free that country. They almost voted Marine Le Pen in France into power. And so they got this globalist little soy-fed gimp called Macron or whatever his name is. Guillotine fodder, I hope. Austria have the FPO, their party, their anti-EU party in power. All across Eastern Europe, there's a massive swathe of anti-EU sentiment, and it's expressed through mainstream politics. They haven't managed to keep these people out. So it's a strange situation. In the UK, we have the referendum to leave, but no anti-EU politicians. Other countries, they haven't had any referendum, but they have an anti-EU government. So I think the real destruction of the EU could come from those other nations rather than from Britain. It's what I think might well happen is that with the collapse of the EU as we know it now, there'll be some kind of crisis which will lead to its reconstruction in a more authoritarian form, possibly an engineered civil war. As I've said in previous videos, the government are setting up the conditions for a civil war in Europe. I think it'll be worse in Germany than anywhere else, but it will affect us as well here in Britain. And I must say, you know, I've been impressed by how utterly desperate the Remainers are getting. Utterly desperate. Have you heard of Dr. Victoria Bateman? I think everyone's heard of her now. They wouldn't have if she hadn't done what she did. She'd be a nobody if she hadn't done what she did. Dr. Victoria Bateman is an economist. She's a professor of economics at, I think, the London School of Economics. And she does a speech. She has a speech. She's been on tour doing a speech. And it's called Brexit Leaves Britain Naked. That's her speech. And she does this speech. And to prove her point, when she's on stage doing this speech, she takes off all her clothes. And I do mean all her clothes to make that point. And as a result, she's become a celebrity. This is how desperate they were. You could get it on. You can't get it on YouTube. You get it on Vimeo. I did watch it. I didn't watch all of it, believe it or not. Do you believe me? I didn't. This is how desperate they are for attention and credibility. Of course, since the last time I discussed this on her panel on TV, the Labour Party is split. It's supposedly split over anti-Semitism. We have, like, what's her name, Luciana Berger, she's the one who protested against that Mere One mural, which is this absolutely brilliant mural in London, which illustrated the New World Order, had an Illuminati pyramid on it. She said that was anti-Semitic. There's large of a number of other people. They're claiming, oh, Corbyn's anti-Semitic. There's institutional anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. If there's any anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, it probably comes from the radical Islamists in the party, which Labour just tolerate. I think that's but anyway, Labour is now split, and it probably saves us from a it saves us from a Labour government. That's the good news. So we don't have to worry about. I mean, it's not Corbyn who's the problem; it's Diane Abbott. As I said in the 2016 video, Diane Abbott is the problem because she could be Prime Minister. What will that mean? It doesn't bear thinking about, does it? A woman who could hardly count the fingers on her hand, who would, as a white male, what would happen to me? And what the answer is, what always happens when people with hatred are given political power, atrocity always follows. Now, there's another subject that's just come up. I don't have time to talk about it, but maybe I'll do it on a future live stream, because I'm probably going to do more than one live stream on this subject in the near future, within the next week or so. But it's to do with the Constitution. It's to do with the Bill of Rights of 1685, because this was when Queen Elizabeth I actually signed this into law. It means that basically we cannot leave the European Union. In fact, everything from the 1972 European Communities Act since is basically an act of treason. And it should have been treated that way. So we can throw out, we just rip up all our membership papers and jail the people responsible. And Ted Heath's dead now, but Tony Blair, put him in jail. David Cameron, all of them in jail. Theresa May, put them in jail for treason. But I'll say more about that in the future. It's a complicated business. And I think Caroline Stevens is going to be talking about that on the Seeking the Truth show on Monday, which I'm a regular contributor to that, if you want to watch that. But I'll try and cover this on a future live stream. But basically, we can't, the fundamental constituent laws of the nation prevent us from being in the EU at all, which means there's no need for Brexit, there's no need for a referendum. We just can't, it's just by default, we just cancel our membership. Of course, the EU will then go, well, no, we want some money from you. My answer is, well, we come and collect it then. We'll meet you on the beach. So that's the basics. That's the outline of the situation we're in now, and I'm happy to discuss it with you guys all for you now. But I've had some comments posted on the notice for this particular live stream. One is by Aid, a guy called Aid. And he says, Ben, please listen to me. I'm not part of the circle of people you communicate with. I'm on the outside looking in. You are wasting your life associating with idiots, morons, frauds, liars, and cheats. I'm giving you good advice here. These people are using you and sucking you in. You need to stop talking to idiots and wasting your life. I only tell you this because I care. Pull up whilst there's still air between you and the ground. I wish you all the best. I'm not coming back here. Good luck, says Aid. Well, if you want to go, go. That's fine. But what you said here, you used a lot of rhetoric here. Idiots, morons, frauds, liars, and cheats. That's 5 words, 5 pieces of rhetoric, words which are insulting words. And you say you're giving me good advice. The thing is, you don't actually explain why any of these people I'm associating with are idiots, morons, frauds, liars, and cheats. You just state it as you make an assertion and you don't back it up with any evidence. And you say, I'm wasting my life. You say all these things, but you don't explain why. That's not good enough. You need to explain why that is the case. You need to put together a logical case, a logical argument, which then I can then assess in a logical fashion. Diego Rivera says Brexit is fake, run by the City of London and the Rothschild. No, it's not, Diego. Brexit itself, the actual Brexit itself is a breakdown, is a symptom of a breakdown in the agenda for the New World Order. Watch my video, Why 2016 Matters, if you haven't already. Neptune Returns says, what is this Brexit you mentioned? Is it a new chocolate bar? I can see the advert. You can't exit without a Brexit. What is a Brexit? That's a good one, isn't it? Funny enough, no one heard of that word Brexit a few years ago. Now it's on everyone's lips. Steve071 says, it's a certainty. The vote will be beaten down badly. Well, you're right, Steve. Then it will be a constant pressure for a second referendum. Yep. It's all been another divide and fracture ruse to further erode the country. Precisely. Diego Rivera says the BBC satanic logo. Oh, there's a YouTube link. I don't have time to watch that now when I'm doing a live stream. Stephen Homeless Truth Seeker says they're blocking what people want, mostly leftists and liberals doing it. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what they're doing. That's the situation we're in, guys. It's grim. It's pretty grim. But honestly, I wouldn't be too downhearted because I don't think we can lose this one, really. If you think about it, if we get Brexit, that's good. If they deny us Brexit, just think what that means. Just think how that kind of transparency would kill them. That kind of honesty when you're doing something malevolent in politics it's like drinking poison for them. So let's have a look at your comments. Where are we? So thanks everyone for joining me. Cosmic Claire, hello Cosmic Claire. Thank you for joining me. Denise Moore, hello. Julian Carver and Stephen Homeless Truth Seeker, hello. Legally, we're leaving on the 29th. Well, yes, for now. But God knows what will happen between now and then. You should wait. I don't think we will. I think there's going to be an extension or something, or unless the EU really decide to just get rid of us now, just cut us loose and decide to, to draw the troops home and defend what's left of their empire. That is a possibility. Paul Armstrong. No Hapanwo radio tomorrow. Sorry, I can't tell you why. It's something to do with Hapanwo TV. All will be revealed later, but I can't do a Hapanwo show tomorrow. Hi, Bill. They said it could go on until December 2020. If that's they're saying that the transitional period could last that long. Although at the moment, good. And Goonlove says, yeah, kick the can along the lane. Yeah, exactly. Backstop my ass. Yeah, the backstop thing is very. And Steve071 says Ireland is an excuse. It could be sorted out easily. Exactly. It's that border has worked. It's been very, very functional, actually, for a very, very long time. Jake Fletcher says, let's hope UKIP officially accepts Tommy Robinson on board. That wouldn't bother me. I don't think Tommy Robinson's a bad guy. I think he's made some mistakes. I don't think he quite understands the causes of what he's dealing with, but I think he's a decent chap. I don't think he should have been sent to jail. I hope he doesn't go to jail again. Goonlove says the UK will never leave the EU. It might, Goonlove, but it's like as I said, I think they're thinking longer term. If they do let us go, it'll be because of some longer term strategy they have. Stevens says it's punishment for voting out. Yeah, the whole thing is a punishment beating, essentially. All the economic problems, everything else, it's a punishment beating. By the way, I saw you can get Brexit survival kits. They're really cool. It's got everything you need. It's got a first aid kit. It's got rations. It's got like water sterilization tablets. It doesn't have the zombie killing gun. That you have to buy the zombie killing gun separately. Not to mention the missile launcher for killing Godzilla. But I'm thinking about getting one of those for have a laugh. Diego Rivera says Rothschilds behind Brexit and Trump both are fake. No, they're not. Diego, have you seen Why 2016 Madness? Have you seen that video? I uploaded it just a couple of days ago. It's not. You're wrong. You're completely wrong. Anthony Morn said Tommy Robinson should and deserves to be part of UKIP. I don't see any problem with letting him in, actually. It's just a technicality. It's a technicality to keeping him out. It's because I think he joined the British National Party briefly. I think that's why they're keeping him out. But I don't know. I mean, I think they should just. I don't see what the problem is. I think Diego Rivera says Tommy is a Mossad shell. Not knowingly, Tommy. He's not Diego Rivera. I don't think he's doing it deliberately. I think he's an honest chap, actually. But yeah, there's some interesting connections between the English Defence League and several Israeli organisations, which is worrying. Jake Fletcher says, "I'm going to join UKIP if Tommy joins." Oh, Jake, I understand the need to want to do something. Of course, there was this big wave of people joining UKIP. Do you remember? Paul Joseph Watson did it, Sargon of Akkad, Count Dankula, and all these people, all these sort of free speech guys went and joined UKIP. The thing about it is, I think the UKIP, it's possible UKIP could become a genuine fighting force against the globalists, but the way it's been behaving lately, especially with Nigel Farage, is concerns me. I think Jared Batten seems to be a more level-headed guy, a more decent guy. There's a lot of uncertainty in this. Anthony Morn says, "What about Agenda 21, Ben?" Well, Anthony, Agenda 21 is all part of this. Agenda 21 is the blueprint for all this, for the New World Order. Everyone reduced to carbon credits, and you have a carbon ration, things like that, and everything to do with carbon. I'll be saying more about that carbon soon. It's all, yeah, it's the whole thing is Agenda 21 is basically what they plan to do. Put people in cities, bring in a resource-based planned economy. This is a very extreme form of communism, essentially. Ban people from traveling in the countryside, things like that. And it's all done to save the world. You do want to save the planet, don't you? Diego Rivera, City of London behind fake Brexit. No, please do watch my film, Why 2016 Matters. Goonlove says Tommy Robinson. Stephen, they're creating chaos. Yes. Davy Keith, Tommy's controlled by Israel. Unfortunately, well, he certainly was. What his organisation was, by the looks of things. But he himself, I think, is a decent chap. I don't think he's anything bad about him. I think what motivates him is the behaviour of the radical Islamists, which have been introduced in this country deliberately by the government. People see this as some kind of invasion by radical Islamists, and they've somehow been allowed in, or they've somehow been allowed in through immigration, and they are because the government is too livid by liberalism to stop them. No, no, no. The government know exactly what they're doing. They haven't allowed them in. They brought them in. These mega mosques where these Saudi hate preachers turn up, they are the source of all this. And a lot of you have this counter-integration problem where, a lot of native-born young Muslims are more radical than their parents. The parents have settled in. The parents have compromised their faith in order to fit into British society. And there's these young guys who are not, because they're listening to these hate preachers who we brought in through the Muslim Council of Britain, which is a quango, which is a state-funded government quango. This can only happen if it's been done deliberately. This is what I mean when they're setting up the conditions for a civil war. And Tommy Robinson, I think he understands the effects of this, the things such as child grooming gangs, the terrorism, which is not false flags. Well, some of them are not false flags, you see. But Tommy, I don't think Tommy understands the idea of false flags. He certainly doesn't accept that any are false flags. But even those that are not, some of them are not, and she's concerned about that, as we all should be. We should be concerned about the false flags as well, of course, and the child grooming gangs and things like that. So he's been radicalized by the behavior of these radical Islamists, but he doesn't understand the cause behind it all. That's the problem. Diego Rivera, Rees-Mogg worked for Rothschild's bank. Yeah, well, I'm not sure I trust Rees-Mogg either. I mean, the problem, if you get into the shill, if you fall down the shill rabbit hole, you can sometimes go right down, where everyone's a shill. But I'm concerned about Rees-Mogg. I'm not necessarily going to. I'm listening to what he's saying, but I'm not necessarily going to trust him or hang my hopes on him or anything like that. Julie Morris, London is the belly of the beast. It is indeed. The city of London specifically is one of the capitals of the Illuminati control, along with the Vatican. If you actually look at the city of London, it's like central Paris, which was redesigned by Baron van Haussmann. It's essentially a huge Masonic temple, as is Washington, D.C. The UK is controlled by Israel, says Goonlove. Well, it's not. Well, the Israeli Zionist thing is just a part of the New World Order. It totally is. Tatties and eggs. David Icke, ex-BBC, totally fake, totally false. Ben's hero. Well, he's not my hero. He's someone I respect and admire. I mean, I do think he's been very influential on me. He's not fake. He's not false. David Keith says absolutely. Diego Rivera says the UK and US created the EU after World War II. Yes, it started with the Brussels Act of 1946. That was the first stage in the creation of the EU. It can be the actual origins can be traced back much further to 1920 and the book Pan Europa by Richard Count von Coudenhove-Kalergi, which is why they call the Charlemagne Prize the Kalergi Prize, because he was the first person to be awarded it. The Charlemagne Prize is towards Charlemagne was a king of the Holy Roman Empire, I believe, and that it was there as a commitment to European unity and integration. Diego Rivera, EU run by Freemasons, yes. Jay Bostadon, hello. Hey Ben, long time no see. Hey Jay Boss, I don't remember you. I'm sorry, but thanks for posting on the channel. Anthony Morn says, "Cunts don't control me." Well, I'm glad to hear it. Julie Morris, UK is a registered corporation. Yeah, I mean, I know that if Brexit happens, that's not the end of the story. And please watch why 2016 matters. I'm very glad I made that video before this live stream, actually, because it's a very, very good reference. I might even put it in as a background link, because it's a very, very good reference point for what I'm talking about in this live stream. A very, very good piece of background information source. I wasn't going to do that video until maybe a couple of weeks' time, but I've done it. I decided to do it early because of everything that's going on in Parliament. Neil Austin, hello. I'm afraid Liberace's just started. I'm sorry. So it'll be. I can't. There's nothing I can do. He lives in the flat above me, and he's got a piano. Neil Austin, they're creating chaos, but it's orchestrated. Theresa May is always reading from the script. Yes, exactly, Neil. Every time she says, "Oh, I'm committed to Brexit," it means she's not. Every time she says, "I regret the decision that Parliament has made," it means thank you, Parliament, for making that decision. Everything she says is back to front. Steve-O71 says, "How's Russell taking Brexit, Ben? He might have to go back to Zeta Reticuli. Well, Russell is certainly going to have to renegotiate his residency permit, I think. The people at Porton Down said they could probably keep him on informally for a couple of months. Yeah, but he's definitely he still supports Brexit, though. Beetlejuice says no deal can still happen. Technically, yes, Beetlejuice, it can. In fact, it might possibly, if Brussels veto the extension, which, as I explained, they may do. They might do. They may decide to sacrifice Britain in order to hold their teetering dictatorship together. Richard Best, this is just one big charade. Every vote they have in the House of Commons is still designed to stifle Brexit. I feel so angry and let down by our politicians. Me too, Richard. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly what's happening. The whole thing is a farce. It's a complete and total farce. Jago Rivera says, Brexit is there to protect the City of London. No, it's not. Goonlove says, what a fucking joke the government is. Yeah, exactly. Videos from the Underground says, the referendum was just too close a vote. But no, it wasn't actually videos from the Underground. According to the EU Referendum Act, the idea was that if the majority of people voted to leave the EU, we would leave the EU. The majority of people voted to leave the EU, so we leave the EU. There was nothing in that particular act that said how close the votes had to be. If one side had triumphed by just a single vote, the result is exactly the same. Tatties and eggs. That's false. The votes today can't be law. What's this? Oh, this is Anthony Morn. Okay, I've just got to. Where was that? Anthony Morn. Politicians don't give a fiddler's fuck about us. They are leeches. Simple. Yeah, true. Julie Morris. The corruption of this country is unimaginable. It is probably. I mean, you know, Julie, Trump. When he took power, he talked about draining the swamp, and I think he means it. He means it when he says he wants to drain the swamp. But I think he's finding it more difficult than he thought. The swamp is deeper and more rancid than he imagined in his worst nightmares. It is unimaginable. When all this comes out, you'll see people weeping in the streets. Diego Rivera says, when are you going to admit Brexit is fake, Ben? And when the evidence comes forward that persuades me. And so far, the evidence hasn't, Diego Rivera. As I said in my video, why 2016 matters. Anthony Morn, I'll do that now before I forget. Just going to do something quickly before I forget. All right, just put this in because I will forget it otherwise. Sorry, wait a moment. Right, so see here for background. I'm going to put in as background this will be on the recording. It's not on this particular video, but it'll be on the recording. But you can go and find it if you want to. It's on my channel. It's the one before the notice, before the live stream notice that I uploaded, and it's called Why 2016 Matters. And it's a very important piece of background to this live stream and any other live stream I do on this subject. Where was I? Right. It's all a load of bollocks, says Anthony Moore. Yes, big con, total bollocks, says Neptune Returns. Stephen says, sometime down the line, Tony Blair is coming back in office. That's their plan. Well, you know, Stephen, I think Blair has his eyes set on a more lofty goal. I think he wants to be EU president and perhaps orchestrate the new EU that arises out of the Civil War, should it happen, if we don't expose it. There's no democracy, says Diego Rivera. Well, that's something we agree on. Goonlove says the UK is North Korea. Yes, I mean, Theresa May has almost got as bad a haircut as Kim Jong-un, hasn't she? But yeah, pretty much. It's North Korea is a highly organised socialist state, and Britain is pretty much that now, isn't it? It's getting worse, more like that. Videos from the Underground. Don't stop voting. Very important. May is the stealth prime minister. Well, you know, that's true. Absolutely, videos from the Underground. You're right. There was a time when I was boycotting elections because I thought it didn't matter. And it was Ian R. Crane who said, apathy kills. You've got to vote. Engage the game. And it's only since 2016 I've realised that he was correct. Anthony Morn, Tony paedophile Blair deserves to hang. Well, you know, Anthony, if Nuremberg laws were in force, he would hang. Goon of Hang Blair, yeah. Steve O. 71 says, Yuri Bezmenov, disillusion and fracture the population. Yep, it's disillusion and fracture the population. Yes, you watched that thing. You watched his interview. It was Edward G. Griffin who first made me aware of this. If you follow Edward G. Griffin, but he did this interview a long time ago. This Russian guy. He's actually a former member of the KGB of the Soviet Union, and he defected to Canada. Yes, and very interesting. What he says is absolutely textbook cultural Marxism. Basically, it's what George Orwell predicted from his attempt. I think he wanted to get the word out about what the Fabian Society was doing, which is one of these fifth column organizations. Now, of course, Orwell wrote a piece of fictional allegory in 1984, because if he hadn't, he'd just be denounced as a conspiracy theorist. Instead, he's written one of the classic pieces of literature, which is why I myself write allegorical fiction, like my books, the Roswell trilogy, available at all good bookshops now. Shameless plug over. Videos from Underground says, whip the whippers, use the whip on them. Oh, kinky. Diego Rivera, MPs are Freemasons and Friends of Israel. A lot of them are members of Friends of Israel, and a lot of them are Freemasons. Not all of them, but yeah. Stephen says, Corbyn is blocking Brexit. He's not at the moment, Stephen, but I think he would, you know, if he was in power. I mean, he's gone down in my estimations enormously. As I said, he's not the real danger. It's the people riding in on his slipstream. I mean, Andy Burnham, Yvette Cooper. Yvette Cooper was behind that damn amendment, which stopped a no deal. And Diane Abbott, most of all, I really think is dangerous. In fact, hang them all, says Goonlove. Well, they're traitors, you know, they're treason. It's treason, yeah. Neptune says, Tony Blair, war criminal and mass murderer. Yeah, if he went to Nuremberg, he would hang, definitely. Anthony Moore, they were all Freemasons, fact. I don't know if every single MP is a Freemason. I know a lot of them are. Pain and Death on New World Order. Hi, how you doing? Ken Clark, pedo. Or clerk. Ken Clark, pedo. Well, he's in the Bilderberg group, isn't he? Yeah, he's in the Bilderberg group. Now, Pain and Death says, hi all. Hi, Pain and Death. Diego Rivera says, most of the UK's wealth is hidden in tax havens. Well, most of the UK's wealth has been given to China by Gordon Brown. It consisted of the UK's gold reserves, which he sold off to China at a discount rate, which is financial suicide. Now, Tony Blair should hang. Steve 71. What's this? Hannah Thompson. Okay, there's this person's a troll, I think. Pain and Death is right. Richard Best says they will just change the law, the bastards. Of course they will. I'll change it. Goonlove, this country is fucked. But it appears to be, doesn't it? Yeah. Pain and Death. Treason may have been deep-throated in the EU, yeah. Goonlove, bow down to Islam. No thanks. Ian Bennett. Hi, Ian. How are you? Thanks for joining us, Ian. Much appreciated. Thanks for sharing all my stuff. It's really, really good of you. Pain and Death. Right. First Last. Hello. Is that a big tinfoil hat behind you? Yes, it is. You need to watch the Dreaming Sources videos, especially the last one, my tour of Oxford, and you'll find out exactly what that is. I'm actually in the middle of converting it into a Faraday cage for the smart meter that's being installed into my home. So that's pretty soon. That will soon be I've got all the material I need in that hat to create a Faraday cage, which will hopefully protect me from the rays coming from the smart meter. Diego Rivera says, wrong. Trump was a setup. No, he wasn't. Please watch Why 2016 Matters. Stephen says, Rees-Mogg should resign if we don't leave at the end of the month. I don't know why Rees-Mogg should be held accountable for that. Anthony Moore says, watching Talladega Nights, the ballad of Ricky Bobby, funny as fuck. Oh, good. Diego Rivera says, Rothschild's behind both. No, wealthy Zionist-funded Trump. No. Diego Rivera says, Trump has done nothing more internet censorship. Well, unfortunately, Diego, Trump in a sense has had to battle, in a sense has been shackled, and he's been held back. I don't think he's down yet or out, but I think he's had an uphill struggle. And of course, I'm 100% behind him. Hopefully the QAnon stuff will come to light pretty soon. Hi, Lime Specs. Hugh Jassols is a good MP, says Neptune Returns. I don't know him. Pain and Death says, Trump is a waste of shit. No, he's not. Pain and Death. No, he's not. Where am I? Anthony Moore says, Bilderberg's bankers really run the world. Yeah. Goon Love. Welcome to this New World Order. Welcome to the New World Order, yeah. Diego Rivera, no investigation. Trump has done everything Israel wanted. He has not wanted to. I mean, Trump has, unfortunately, he's been blackmailed. Do you remember the fire in Trump Tower? Someone died in that. And they were told him, next time it will be you or Melania or Barron. That's how they get him to do what they want. I just hope that the alliance behind him can come through and the QAnon stuff comes to reality. Pain and Death says, hi, Lime. Charles Declassified. Aha, Charles Declassified. Please do watch his channel because he's got some brilliant comedy videos on there. No, Ben, this is not what we agreed. They use perfectly fine. Theresa May's a nice girl and the Illuminati are friends. Stay with the plan, Ben. We wouldn't want you to catch another cold. All right. Is that another? Are you going to use your mind powers on me, Charles? Are you? Are you really going to use your psychic powers and to manipulate me? Pain and Death says, Trump farts when Israel tell him to. Well, that's a piece of rhetoric, Pain and Death, and I don't think it's fair. I mean, he's trying to get back. He's trying to claw back the progress that was made. Steve O71 says, does the referendum actually hold any point of law for the government to enact it anyway? Well, it does now because of the Article 50 Act. Originally, it was an advisory referendum. Now it is law. DJ Buto, I'm late. I was watching Richard Dolan and Gary McKinnon interview, newly released. That's understandable, DJ. I don't mind being stood up by Richard Dolan and Gary McKinnon, better than that. At least you weren't watching The Price is Right or something like that. And Charles Declassified, Dolan has taken my bribe, has he? Yeah, Pain and Death says, lol, DJ, Cosmic Claire, Batten rescued UKIP when it was supposed to have been killed. Well, Claire, I'm very impressed with him. I was watching a speech. He spoke at the same event that Sargon of Akkad did. And I was impressed with him, actually. He was keeping a level head and he was staying on topic at the time when Nigel Farage was trying to derail it. Charles gets in the says Pain and Death. Lime Spec says, I was going to watch that too. Any insights in it? Is that the Dolan interview? Yeah, I'd like to see that. Diego Rivera says, what do you do in that bucket, Ben? I don't do anything there, but I keep like old, I keep stuff for the laundry and that. You don't want to watch, I'm not going to open it to show you. Cosmic Claire says, people don't believe the media in the way that you think, Ben. I hope not, Claire. I really don't. I mean, I'm very impressed, Claire, with the response from the public. I mean, if you go online and going online is the best way to see what people are actually thinking. The media and politicians just tell them what they're supposed to be thinking. And everybody all across the internet land understands what I'm talking about here. What I'm saying now in terms of internet politics and internet and political commentary is absolutely mainstream. Everybody understands what I'm saying. Everyone understands that this is a scam. We're essentially having a hoax played on us. Stephen says, Cameron said, we're in it together. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we're all in it together. That was during the recession when he got a pay rise and everyone else was like getting their benefits cut. I remember. Charles Declassified says, I'm the Q, I'm Charles, and don't you forget it, sunshine. Charles, yes. Oh, Charles, yeah. Pain and Death says, Cameron the pig fucker. Yes. Cameron, yeah. The Bullingdon Club. I've told you about the Bullingdon Club before, how awful they are. Here in Oxford, they're absolutely notorious for their behaviour, their antisocial behaviour. Diego Rivera says, Ben, you're turning into Braveheart. Oh, thank you, Diego Rivera. I had a great joke the other day. If the Ramonas have their way, right, they're going to remake Braveheart. And William Wallace's last words will be, security! I thought it was hilarious. Pain of Death says, yeah, Charles in the queue behind my she's mine, lol. Hugo Roon, hi Hugo, how are you? Israel D, nothing wrong with pissing in a bucket and then onto the compost heap. Hugo, I don't do anything so disgusting. I would never do anything that disgusting. I really wouldn't. No way. I do have a toilet in this house, you know. William Jones, hi William, how are you? Welcome. I don't think I've heard from you before. It's been 2 years since we got nowhere. That's right. No deal embraces us as a country. And who would want to trade with an uncontrollable government? Jeremy Corbyn doesn't help. He's just an aggravator. Yeah. I mean, the ideal thing I think would be for us to leave without a deal, because if we leave without a deal on the 29th, all the Project Fear scare stories would just be out the window then. And it would just because then we could get on with actually doing business with our neighbours, our European neighbours, and from beyond, trading with on bilateral trade deals with member states and other governments beyond Europe. See that because I'll tell you what. I'll give you a list of the. Here we go. I saw this really for this on Breitbart. I think Brexit scare. Here we are. Where is it? Where was it? There was a really, really great list of them. So I've got to show you this. This is really funny. Here we go. Project Fear. This is good. The best no deal scare stories of 2018. Here we go. Right. Britain will run out of clean drinking water. The NHS will run out of essential medicines. Cheese will become an occasional luxury. Brexit will be a threat to sandwiches. Britain could run out of Mars bars within weeks. Planes will be banned from flying over Irish airspace. We'll all catch super gonorrhea. I don't know how that actually comes to the European Union, or the European Union prevents that. Almost more damaging than the Second World War. And my favourite, I think, is the rats. Apparently there's going to be a plague of rats crawling out from underneath everyone's settee. That's my favourite scare story of all. It's all Project Fear. It's all designed to frighten people into complying with what the government wants and saying, look, please, all right, we won't have Brexit after all. Just please save us from all these horrible predictions of disaster. You mean it's like that film, The Power of Nightmares? You know, politicians discovered a new role. Instead of giving us dreams, they were promised to protect us from nightmares. The Power of Nightmares by Adam Curtis is a brilliant documentary. Charles D. Classic. Okay, you can have her, mate. Just stay away from Bill Ryan. He's mine. Or Lime says, Porter Hart, the man who saved the English, and that's not bad for a Welsh boy like me, is it? Cosmic Claire, she's an attention-seeking exhibitionist and a hypocrite to boot. Oh, you mean Bateman? Yes, she is. She's not, to be honest, she's not much to look at anyway. I mean, if you want to see spectacles like the ones she provides, much better examples can be provided on other websites, which I could mention, which you probably find for yourself. Most of you guys probably found them already, haven't you? Come on, let's face it. Yeah. Alchemy 432, the Fool Card Magician says, who in the chat room douses? I have dowsed Alchemy. I actually did a dowsing course with Maria Wheatley, the lady who goes around investigating ancient monuments. This was years ago, but I went on a dowsing course with her. Very interesting, that was. Charles Declassified says, Pain and Death, go on, laugh about it. You're going on my list. That's it, yeah. Charles has now got you on his mind control list now. Either that or he's going to play golf with you and slaughter you. Raven Precept, hi Raven. Supporting Palestine is anti-Semitic. Yes, I mean, that's what they tell you. Thing is that Israelis are saying this. They're actually saying openly, says we're going to use this trick. We're going to brand anyone who criticizes my country and criticizes Zionism as being a hater of Jews. And that's what they've done to basically to Corbyn. This is what they've done to David Icke. Right, pain and death of shit. Yeah. Israel is destroying British politics, says Diego Rivera. It's certainly being a very negative influence on it, isn't it? Alchemy 432 says, repeat who in here is geoadsic. I've done it a couple of times, Alchemy. Charles Declassified says, it's a big list, and you're going right to the top, sunshine. Hugo Reen says, Palestine. Oh, yeah, Palestine is Semitic, as are the UAE, Saudi, etc., all Semitic. We are Semites, Semitic. It doesn't mean Jews. It means it's used for Jews, but there's Semitic languages, which include all the languages of the Middle East, Arabic and Aramaic and Hebrew and there's Amharic in Ethiopia. All those languages are Semitic languages. Maltese is a Semitic language. So it's like a language group. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hugo. I know you've got it's not a racial group. It's not a religious group. You can be a Semite. You can speak Arabic, for example, and be a Christian or another thing. And you can be Jewish, and you can be if you speak Hebrew, then you're speaking a Semitic language, or Aramaic, you're speaking a Semitic language. William Jones, Theresa May isn't strong enough to be in charge, or because she's a woman, Labour will get us bankrupt again. Well, you know, I'm not a supporter of feminism, as you know, William, but I think women can be great leaders, and there's been many. I mean, who's my favourite queen? Boudica. You've seen my Boudica moments, haven't you? I think if when it comes to politics, plenty of women have got what it takes and they get through. I'm opposed to these all-women shortlists and things like that to essentially force a balance between men and women in politics. That's something I'm opposed to. But her being a woman, I don't think is relevant in this case. I don't think it is. I think if she was a bloke, if she was Terry May, she'd be just as bad. And she'd be doing exactly the same thing that Theresa May is doing. She'd be saying all the same things. That's it. Diego Rivera says, Diane and Ben, a great couple. Oh, my God. I can even just imagine it. Oh, dearie me. She'd drive me crazy. No, what should be going on? Oh, Ben says, could you get me a dozen eggs? Can you get me half dozen eggs for dinner tonight? You know, that's 7 eggs. Should be going. And she'd be going, oh, Ben, do you have to be so white? Do you have to be so white? Oh, God. Oh, no, I couldn't. You're a white male, Ben. She'd be going, no. 3 weeks would, no, I couldn't manage, not 3 weeks, but I just imagine listening to all that crap 24/7. No. If we were a couple, she'd be under the patio within 3 weeks. I promise you. I couldn't bear any more than that. Charles says, pain and death. Laughing is a sure way to catch a cold. Know what I mean? Tacties and Egg says, I'm no racist, but Diane Abbott looks like a deformed chimpanzee. She does, doesn't she? She's not a looker, I must say. I'm not that. She was when she was younger, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's actually racist to say that a black woman is rather plain. She's plain looking. It's not racist to say that, or even to say she looks like a deformed chimpanzee. It's there's white women I'd say the same thing about. I'm sure that there's plenty of women of all colours who'd say the same thing about white men. Maybe some of them say that about me. It's not about race. It's not about her colour. Linesbeck says, are you using your old camera, Ben? This looks like it's been broadcast to a 1980s teletext. Well, I'm using this webcam here, which is a Meeson webcam, Limespecs. And I mean, I could rig up my camera. The thing is that I think on the YouTube free account, you can't do that. You have to use their own house. You have to use their own house decoder, which means I think this is the best picture you're going to get on YouTube. I'm actually thinking of doing some live streams on one of the other free speech sites. I know Steemit can do live streams. Unfortunately, you can't save the damn recording for very long. I'd have to transfer the recording to another platform, maybe to YouTube or something. But there's something called Stream Me or something, which is like it's set up by YouTube refugees, a bit like BitChute, and it's I think that might be better quality. I don't know. Alchemy says, "Lol, you know, we all know jack shit. You're still locked in the left-right paradigm." I don't know what you mean by that, Alchemy. Right, GJB2 says they need to dig up Ted Heath and put him on trial. They did that for a heretical pope once. They did. They exhumed a pope and they actually put him on trial, and they had his coffin in the Sistine Chapel. I remember, or in the wherever they do trials in the Vatican. I remember that. Raven Precept says Muslims are anti-Semitic. Well, they don't have to be. There's a lot of Muslims. A lot of Muslims are because they're radicalized. In terms of they're against Jews. They don't have to be, though. I mean, the Sephardic Jews and the Palestinians used to get on perfectly well before 1947. They lived together quite well for 1,500 years. Charles says, Tatties, Abbott is one of our failed clones that escaped from the lab. Sorry about that. Was she, Charles? I hope you don't make any more of her. Don't clone her, whatever you do. This world is not big enough for even one of her. Alchemy says, fucking hell, Ben, did that bigger hat I sent you get there? You know, can you see this hat I'm wearing now? It's actually Australia. Now, I wasn't gonna, it's good, so I need to wear something on my head, otherwise I get a big bright spot there from my head, the light shining on my head. And but I was thinking about not wearing the Australia hat because of David Icke, but to be honest, it's not. I don't have anything against Australian people. It's the damn government I'm objecting to. Hugo Roon says Arabs are Semitic. That's right. Diego Rivera says a wrestling match between Ben and Diane Abbott. Who would win? Oh God! You just imagine it. She'd be going, "You're a white male. You're a white male. You're a white male. Evil white male." Oh God. Pain and Death says there is no left or right. Well, left, it is the left-right thing. Yeah, no, it's I'm neither left nor right myself. I'm opposed to all these damn mainstream politicians. Red Planet says hello, Red Planet. How are you? Welcome. What's happening now? Oh, it's gone to the bottom. Hang on, I have to go up and up and up. Right. All right, let's go up. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah, fly like Alchemy says, fly like an eagle, leave the turkeys on the ground, and then says nothing is logically real. Nothing is logical. Reality doesn't travel in a straight line. Things are logical, though. They are. Armand Adams, hello, how are you? Diego Rivera says 2016 was a victory for the Rothschilds. No, it wasn't. Diego Rivera, you're repeating the same points over and over again. Please just go and watch. Just go and watch why 2016 matters. Raven Precept, this was predictable before Joe Cox was even fake murdered. Yeah, the Joe Cox thing was very, very daring. It was a very, very extreme kind of piece of attempt to manipulate public opinion. Indeed, they're probably going to try something else equally dramatic at some point, or maybe more so. Alchemy says, I'm out of here. No one dowsing or geomancing. Well, I'm sorry, Alchemy, that's not the subject of this live stream. Thank you for the 52 people who are watching now. That's good. Tatties and eggs. Ben, educate yourself. Try Scotsman Alan Watt, cutting through the matrix, not fake Ike. Well, you know, Tatties and eggs, I like Alan Watt. I really do. His stuff's really excellent. And he lives in Canada now, but he comes from Scotland. He's a very, very interesting chap. Diego Rivera says, BBC has satanic Brexit logo. Go to my channel and have a look. I will, Diego Rivera, because you've done some... I have watched a couple of your videos, and they're pretty good. Close a bit, Claire. The EU SSR is dying, and will die even sooner if we're forced to stay in. Yes, Claire. This is why I've got a feeling Brussels might be trying to cut us loose. Alchemy says, lol, Ben, check out the earthquake in Surrey, England. Alchemy, is that where they've been fracking? Raven Precept says, I poo gold. Well, do you? Maybe I should come and unblock your toilet sometime, Raven. Cosmic Claire says, some will say we've left and others will say not. Maybe, what's it? Julian Carver. Sorry, I don't know what you mean, Claire. Sorry. Neil Sanders says Julian Carver. Hi, Julian. How are you? Neil Sanders says they will have to let us leave, and I think he's right in the long run, but it will drag on. I think I've got a feeling it all depends on what's happened. I think in the next week we'll know more. I'll do another live stream. I'm sure I'm going to do another live stream about this because there's an awful lot happening. Alchemy says, hitting Crawley, England. Oh, dear. Oh, yeah, that's someone who lives near Gatwick Airport contacted me and told me about that. It's the same guy who was helping me with the drone thing. I want Ian R. Crane will be very interested in that because apparently there's a fracking site not far from there. And I don't think that's a coincidence near Crawley. Yeah. Alchemy says there's your magician hit. Alistair Crowley, Raven Prescott, Neldigate. Don't know what that means. Hi, Edwardian lady. All right. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Diego Rivera, Timoy Trump, Brexit, Mossad. I don't know what that means. No one here studies metaphysics, says Alchemy. Yeah, I'm interested in that, Alchemy, but this is just not the stream for it. And Raven Precept is interested too, see? Diego Rivera, Brexit there to distract the masses. No, watch why 2016 matters. Diego Rivera, you keep making the same points over and over, and I've given you my answer. Eamon Puadima, hello. Puadama, hello, Eamon. Did you see Richard D. Hall's documentary on the Joe Cox killing? What do you think of his suspicion that pro-Brexit David Davis was spying on Joe Cox when they collaborated on an article about the Panama Papers? Do you think they're wanting to maintain London-centred tax avoidance schemes? It's a big motive for the wealthier Brexiteers. Eamon, I haven't seen Richard's documentary on Joe Cox. I can see it's on his channel now, but I'm actually going to wait because I want to get the DVD of it when I go to his live show. I'll watch it then. Richard did mention Joe Cox killing before, and he says it's got nothing to do with Brexit, and, well, I totally disagree. And I actually explain and I actually address and criticise Richard's position in why 2016 matters. Diego Rivera says, the worst video you've made, 2016, the opposite is true. Really, Diego? Well, please do put comments on that video if you haven't already and explain where I've gone wrong, because I'd love to have a debate on the issues. Raven Precept, what's the connections between the earthquake and Brexit? The connection, Raven, is the earthquake's caused by fracking, and there's the fracking thing and Brexit are connected. I can't go into details now, but Ian R. Crane has covered it. Slaxer, hey Slaxer, how are you? Hope you're doing well, mate. I've been watching your new videos and I love them. I hope you all the best to you, mate. TK, hi TK. You have form for getting things wrong, like with your passport thing, Ben. How dare you tell people they are wrong? Oh, am I not allowed to disagree? Firstly, am I not allowed to make mistakes myself and correct them? And am I not allowed to disagree with people? What's your point? Raven Precept says, Joe Cox killed to help Remain. Yes, basically, Raven, except is Joe Cox really dead? I think not. I think that, I don't know where she is right now, but I think she's probably still alive and well. Tony Tiger Vardy says, UKIP is the only way now before violence. I hope not, Tony, because UKIP really aren't doing very well at the moment. And I'd like to see this resolved peacefully, but I mean, it is looking pretty grim, actually. I mean, with the drive towards a civil war, and it could end up turning, end up turning nasty. I hope not. I hope not. But that might be our only option. If we have to fight to survive, then we obviously have to fight. If it's choice between that and being dragged off to some Agenda 21 re-education centre from which we probably won't emerge alive, we'll have nothing to lose. Paul Armstrong, hello. Yes, Slax has joined us. That's really great. Diego Rivera says the English Bigfoot is more real than Brexit and Trump. No, both are real. TK says, I guess you are the master of being wrong, so I recognize it more than others. Well, TK, if I'm ever wrong, I do try to correct myself. Tony Tiger says Gerard is the man. I actually think Gerard Batten is actually he's a good guy to have in as leader. He's actually given UKIP. I think if there's any hope with UKIP, it's as if Gerard can get them back into the game after Farage dropped them out. I saw a great tweet the other day, actually. It was from Brie Fauché. She said, where was it? Yeah. Oh, I can't find it now. I did retweet it. I think it may have been deleted, but it's basically... Yeah, here we are. Nigel Farage said about May's deal being rejected, "This is a total failure of leadership." And Brie writes underneath, "So was leaving your party after the Brexit vote before the job was done. I couldn't say it better myself." Absolutely. Right. Alchemy, who saw my Tesla energy pendulum blowing the top of Osiris bomb? Osiris's tomb. I didn't, Alchemy, but I'd love to see it. I'd be interested. It says, pretty soon we will need violence to get our point across. Well, if it comes to repression by the state, violent repression, then we'll have to respond with force. Yes, I hope that won't happen, but it might do. Yeah. There's someone called Turd Burglars. Just Turd Burglar. Someone's name who's named Turd Burglar has just joined. Oh God. Oh. Yeah, Mr. Tune says Tommy's okay, doing what he can to build the people up. Common sense and playing it smart. His rallies are great. I actually went to the Day for Freedom rally, which was sort of partly organised by Tommy Robinson team, which was excellent. I think Tommy Robinson, like I said, I hope he doesn't go to jail. I think he's wrong about a lot of things, but I think he's okay. He's not a bad guy. Where are we now? I'll skip a couple of these if people are just addressing other people, just because there's a lot of comments coming on and I want to get through them all. Are there no magicians in here, Alchemy? I saw a magician, actually. It was at a birthday party a couple of weeks ago. They had this magician there. He's called Richard Young, his name is, local magician guy. He's very good indeed. I couldn't work out how he did things. Rock Jam, hi Rock Jam. Has anyone seen the movie documentary They Live? It's a must-see. A documentary. It's another piece of allegorical fiction, but it's excellent. Absolutely superb. John Carpenter's They Live, 1988. Do watch that if you've not watched it already. Fantastic film. Tommy's the man, says Tony Tiger. No, he's a, like I said, don't hang on his every word. I hope he doesn't go to jail. I don't think he deserves that. Great film, yes. Pain and Death, it's fantastic. They Live. It's just so revealing about the world. Alchemy says, I'm from Cheshire, England, home of the Cheshire Cat. TK, the government gave you a passport to go and tell people the government are nasty. Oh, I'm not going through that again. TK, I made a video about that. Eamon Padima says, Tommy Robinson completely understands the Zionist connection to his cause. He said he's a Rangers fan, and Rangers fans are known to fly the flag of Israel. Yeah, the reason the Rangers fly the flag of Israel is to do with the old firm rivalry with Celtic, which flies the Irish tricolour. It actually goes back to, it's actually partly Masonic. Have you ever read Ireland, Land of the Pharaohs by Andrew Power? It explains why the Ulster Loyalists use the Israel flag and the Rangers fans and people like that. It's got nothing to do with Zionism. It's deeper and more complicated than that. But it's a brilliant book if you want to read that. It's fantastic. Andrew Power's dead now, unfortunately, but he wrote a fantastic book before he went, I'll tell you. Eamon says, for some reason that was held back. I had to prove that comment. There's no swearing in it. I'm not saying it's a clear black and white moral issue, but if he was ignorant of the Zionist connection, he'd be an idiot, which he isn't. Well, he does strike me as someone who doesn't. I'm not going to be rude and say he's not very bright, but he does seem to be he seems to sort of jump to conclusions quite a lot, I think, Tommy Robinson. I mean, of course, he is intelligent. He's become a kind of self-taught Islamic scholar. So I think if I've ever called him stupid, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that, because he's not. I think I did the other day on Kev Baker's show. I shouldn't have done that, or mindset. But he sort of like he yells at the microphone like this when he's on the radio and stuff like that. Raven Precept, the scene where he makes his friend wear the glasses. That's about They Live. Yeah, that was amazing, because like the film, when I first saw that film, I thought, what's that scene doing in there? This is where, you see, there's these glasses, the sunglasses, that when you put them, what happens in the film is when you put them on, you can see through this illusion. It allows you to see the world as it really is, with subliminal messages in posters and newspapers. And the rulers of the world are this race of aliens that are disguised as humans. But if you take the thing is, when you take the glasses off, there's this mind control effect takes over your brain, and you see them as human, and you can't see the subliminal messages. Now, there's a scene in it where basically it's one of the longest fight scenes in history, where the main character, John Nada, he's trying to get his friend to put the glasses on. He keeps saying, "Put the glasses on, put the glasses on," and this guy's punching and kicking him. And I thought to myself, what's that scene doing in there? Because it's a long, drawn-out fight scene. I always forward-wind it when I watch the film today, which is quite tedious, actually. It goes on and on. They're just kicking and punching. It lasts about 10 minutes. And I think, why is that rather obtrusive scene and meaningless, or not meaningless, but sort of like strangely long, drawn-out fight scene doing in a film, which is, it's otherwise a very well-paced movie? What's that scene doing in there? And it took me a while to realise it symbolizes the difficulty. Once you put the glasses on, it's like the red pill, you're taking the red pill in the Matrix. Once you put those glasses on and you've seen the truth, the difficulty in getting other people to do it and persuading other people to do it. He says, please just put these glasses on. And I know exactly what that feels like. And that's what that scene symbolizes. So Raven Precept, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Diego Rivera says, politics is all controlled. They are financed by the same people. You've got someone who's Erop, and he's got something in Russian. Erop says, I'm not understand. What the fuck you talk about? Pain and Death says, fan means fantastic. Rock Jam, yes. Tommy's false, says Diego Rivera. No, he's not false. He's not. Alchemy says, remember what the Cheshire Cat said. Imagination is the only weapon against reality. Yeah. Maybe that's, I don't know if you've heard of the NPC thing. People who, yeah, it's the NPC are people without imaginations. Oh, so that's a big subject. I can't go into that now. Edwardian, has Claire not uploaded for a while, Edwardian lady? Cosmic Claire. To check out her channel, but I've not looked at her channel. I'm sorry, Claire. I've just been doing other things, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to see some new videos of yours if you've got any. Slaxer says, shill, fucking underachievers. I'm the Antichrist. Raven Precept. London is not England. The city of London is not. No. Flatus Maximus. Hello. Any single and available women here? now I'm now Tinder, am I? City of London, a separate country, yes. What's this? Lol, everyone here is thick as pig shit. You don't understand gematria. Alchemy, well, you know, what are you, if you, this is not what the stream is about. It's not about alchemy. It's not about dowsing. It's not about gematria. Pain of Death says, no, flat sorry, stick to Pornhub. Where are we now? City of London, yes, another Vatican, says Steve. Eamon says, the word shield can be a bit meaningless. You have different factions among elites pushing for different things. They can look like one cabal because they've shared connections and secrets. Yeah, Eamon, I mean, when everything's going their way, they are united. But when things break down, they often disagree on how to handle it. And I think that's what we're seeing now. There's a division now between one faction who wants to try and keep Britain in and cancel Brexit and keep Britain in the EU. Another faction who just wants to, they disagree on tactics. What they want to do is let Britain go and turn inwards and focus on the remaining member states. Which one will win in the end? I don't know. Hopefully neither of them will. Erop, you have to throw all the Russian oligarchs out of London. Oh, goodness me. Erop, you're Russian yourself, aren't you? You've got a Russian name. Erop, what are you talking about? This whole Russia thing is a load of nonsense. It's all propaganda. They're blaming everything on Russia. That's why they staged they attacked that guy, Sergei and Yulia Skripal. That's why they attacked them with poison. Alchemy says, remember the dunce of the class that asked a lot of questions. Well, you're talking about my hat again. Paul Armstrong says, get fucked, Liberace. Well, luckily he's shut up now. He was only doing having a quick tinkle and he stopped. Good. La Quinta Brigada says, open borders for Israel. See how they like it. No, La Quinta Brigada, they actually built a wall. Do you remember the peace wall they've got in Israel? And they actually built that long before, when they're criticizing Trump for doing it. They've got a massive wall, much bigger than anyone else, any that Trump's building. Alchemy says, Ben, looks like you've got a pair of knickers stretched over your head. It's a hat, look, but it's sort of like what happened was it normally goes that way around, but the peak's gone. Is that better? The peak is just gone, so I put it up like that. That looks daft, doesn't it? Stephen says, how's your pet frog? I don't have a pet frog. Israel has a free trade agreement with the UK. Alchemy says, Ben's ignoring my comments. No, I'm not. CK, they're a joke, spending billions on projects they have no clue about. Remember, the truth goes in 3 stages, says Alchemy. Is that? It's more than that, I think. It's what was it? It was Mahatma Gandhi who says, first they laugh at you, then they ridicule you, then they demonize you, and finally they accept you. And the last stage is, oh, I thought of it first. Yeah, exactly. First it's ridiculous. TK, incompetent, uninterested, bottom-set idiots who the government are. Diego Rivera, have you fallen out with D. Hall, Ben? Says Diego Rivera. No, I've not spoken to him actually. Oh, Richard D. Hall. I've only seen him at his events where I just said hello to him briefly. I mean, seeing as I'm disagreeing, I'm not falling out with him. I've disagreed with him on my last video, which means he'll probably denounce me as some kind of MI5 agent. So I probably will. But I don't see why I shouldn't disagree with him. If I think he's wrong about something, I'll say so. Besides, I mean, I think he was referring to me in that particular video where he talks about people who punch the air. Do you remember I was actually on his show twice, and he gave examples, and I think there's some examples of that. So if he's wrong, I'm going to say so. I think I was polite with him, same as I was over the Penturk issue. I was polite with him. I didn't have a go at him. I just pointed out where he made a mistake. I didn't get personal with him. But if he gets touchy about that, that's just too bad. Then is violently opposed. Then it becomes the truth. Yes, Alchemy. Yeah. Rock Jam. Politics divide. Charles declassified. Hall went too far. He caught a bad cold all of a sudden. Yes. Charles, are you the one who gave Theresa May that cough and that sore throat? All right, Alchemy. Yeah, well, Alchemy. Maybe I'll come back and I'll do a live stream about gematria at some point. All right. Edwardian Lady says, bloody Alban, that piano would do my head in. Well, he does. I mean, he doesn't. The good thing is he doesn't play in the middle of the night. Edwardian Lady. He sometimes plays at antisocial times, like when I'm doing a radio show or I'm doing a live stream. He'll suddenly decide to strike up a tune. And it does do my head in a bit. You see, in my old room, I couldn't hear it because I was on the other side of the building. Now I'm in this room. I've got a bigger, nicer room than I used to have. But I'm right underneath Liberace where he's got his piano. E-Man says, it's absurd to look for political saviors. Trump has no intention of draining the swamp in any meaningful way. No, wrong. And it's not a question of savior. He's a good guy who happens to be in a position where he's not meant to be. That's a good thing. You can use the word savior if you want. It's got religious overtones, which I object to. But I think he does intend to drain the swamp. He's just finding it more difficult than he thought it was going to be, understandably. I honestly, I am I can't think of any way to express my admiration for him, for what he's done. The fact that he hasn't backed down. This is the biggest challenge he's ever faced in his life. And he's had to face a lot of challenges, but nothing compared to this. TK says, anyone top set goes to work for Google or the banks? Cosmic Claire, if Brexit is so fake, then why are the Ramonas getting in such a tears to stop it? Well, exactly. Exactly. The Ramonas, people from top to bottom, even at the very senior levels. Now, if Brexit is a setup and is some kind of four-dimensional chess being played by the Illuminati against us, which is what many people in the truth movement seem to think, including some people posting in this chat box, then it just doesn't make sense. It becomes unfalsifiable. Nothing can ever be seen to go against the Illuminati's way. In which case, I made these points in why 2016 matters. I've now added it to not to this description box. I could add it to the description box on this video, actually. Let me just see if I can do that. I'll do it now. Let's see. Can I edit it? Edit video, right. I'm going to do that now before I forget. Right, one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. I'm just going to add this to the description box. There we go. And it's done. That's it. All done. So, well, that's right, Claire. Absolutely true. Alchemy says, any intelligence fucker here, send me Gmail. TK, so government is full of bottom set idiots, not this intelligent manipulative organization. Ironman Spartan 2 says, welcome Ironman, how you doing? Would be wise to stock up on extra tinned and dried goods just in case of a no-deal Brexit. Good idea, Ironman. I mean, you can go and buy your Brexit survival kit. There's several on the market. But the problem is, I haven't found any that's really good enough because none of them have the zombie killing guns added. You have to buy the zombie killing guns separately. And I've not seen any missile launchers that could take out Godzilla. So I don't think the tinned goods and the dried foods are going to do you any good unless you actually have those things, because a no-deal Brexit will make those things necessary. Diego Rivera says, are aliens behind Brexit, Ben? I don't know. I can only ask Russell. Russell, what do you think about Brexit? He just did that, yeah. Russell is behind Brexit. He's a Zeta Reticulan. He's a grey. As for the rest of them, I don't know, Diego. Raven Precept, Eman, Trump is getting things done. Well, Raymond, he is at a very slow pace. That's the problem. Unless the QAnon stuff is going on in the background, which I hope is true. Trump is moving forward, but he keeps getting blocked by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these other horrible people. They keep messing around with his various policies, and try and drag him through the courts and things like that. But he keeps going. I mean, he's a tough guy, really tough. And that's why I take my hat off to him. I tell you what, when all this is over, I'm going to buy him a beer. If I have to, I will fly all the way to Washington and buy him a beer when all this is over. I promise you. It's one thing I'll use my new passport for. Rockjam, voting only keeps corruption in power. No, not necessarily. Rockjam, I used to agree with that until 2016. Neil Desperando. Hey, Neil. Orwell saw all of this coming from the left. He was of the left. He knew what they were like and called it a warning. Yes, Neil. Orwell was a democratic socialist. The book Animal Farm is told from that position, from the position of the Trotskyist, the democratic leftist. That's who he fought for in the Spanish Civil War. First, it was a very complicated situation. He ended up, there was one side against the other, then one side split into two sides. But I think towards the end of his life, he saw through it. I think he saw through the left and what the left was actually doing. Cosmic Claire. Sorry about no vids. The book is taking up all my time. Won't be much longer now. Claire, I know exactly what you mean. Do you remember that when I was writing my book a few months ago, I didn't do many videos, so I understand exactly what you mean. And I look forward to reading your book and also interviewing you again on Hapanmo Radio about that. I really will do. TK, Ben burns his passport to free himself of Illuminati enslavement, then realizes, oops, maybe it's not a sign of Illuminati enslavement. Oh, TK, that's a gross oversimplification. Please watch. If you watched my video on the subject, if you please do, I want you to don't misrepresent me then. Lofty likes your videos. Hi, Lofty. Hope you like this one. I had to laugh when I found out MPs are getting a pay rise in April. Not another one. Rock Jam, 1984. Got the film, lol. Which one? There's several movies of 1984. The best one is the most recent one, which has got Richard Burton and John Hurt in. It was Richard Burton's last movie, actually. But do read the book. The book's, even though the film is very faithful to the book, it's still worth reading the book. Beetlejuice. Hi, Beetlejuice. When you were talking Tommy Robinson, he is too busy defending himself against the BBC and the government as they want to destroy him. Yeah, I mean, that panodrama thing was really good, actually. I mean, whether you agree with him or not, he was badly treated by the BBC, and the BBC are absolute scum to him. And the thing is, they're going to be scum to Tommy Robinson, they're going to be scum to the rest of us. Just like if Tommy Robinson goes to jail, it means they can put any of us in jail. And I downloaded Panodrama, actually, just in case it's kicked off YouTube. Although it's on BitChute and all those other places, so it's gonna be there somewhere anyway. Videos from the Underground says, G. Edward Griffin, I did film one time. His organisation is on Facebook. He's a very interesting chap. And we have Khalud Al-Zrani. Hello, Khalud, welcome. And he says something in Arabic. Can you speak English, Khalud? Could you translate that? Thanks. Videos from the Underground says, Helen Duncan could have used that trumpet hat. Yeah, spirit trumpet. John Daniel, Trump is genuine anti-establishment. Yes, he is. Brexit means British independence. Yes. Tommy is a patriot lion. I'm sure Tommy, I think, is in his heart of hearts, yes. Although I think he is misguided in many ways, and which means you can't trust Tommy to do the right thing. This doesn't mean it wouldn't be from his own malice or his own deception, but I think he's been misled into doing the wrong thing. JFK was the last best Democratic president. Yes, Democrat president. Yep, and then they shot him, didn't they? 2016 is most important, as you say. Thank you, John. Hope you're paying attention, Diego Rivera. Cosmic Claire. If Trump was a total puppet, why would the deep state have spent so much time trying to frame him for fake stuff? Good, exactly, Claire, exactly. You've got to... If people believe Trump is just secretly part of the establishment, you have to believe that every single thing that happens in the world, no matter how much it looks like it's going against the New World Order, in reality is in favor of the New World Order. And that is an unfalsifiable hypothesis. In that worldview, the New World Order can never be seen to end. Check out my video on why 2016 matters. Diego Rivera, Ides of March 15th, fake Trump assassination. Oh God, yes, of course, that's coming up, isn't it? That's tomorrow. No, Friday. I hope not. I mean, I was on Caroline Stevens' show, Seeking the Truth, and they had Alexandra JB on there, and she was saying there may be an attempt to assassinate Trump. I just pray for his safety. I really do. I really do. Rock Jam. All politicians suck the establishment. Yeah. E-Man. Trump always had connections to Zionists and gangsters. No, he didn't. I don't think he did. I think he was actually not political before he ran for president. He had awards from Jewish groups. Well, what's wrong with Jews and Zionists are two different things. I've explained before. His mentor was Roy Cohn, a gay Jewish mob lawyer and political fixer who specialized in sexual blackmail. Is that right? Well, did he? The thing is, I don't care about his private life. I don't know. Has he ever been convicted in a court of law? Has he ever been subjected to any due process? This is not evidence that Trump's an insider. Charles says, Israel, I'll take the job if you pay me. Oh, Edwardian Lady says, I left Richard Dolan to watch this. Oh, Edwardian Lady, thank you. Are you telling me that I just upstaged Richard Dolan? Yeah. Thank you. That's the biggest compliment as well. So, Richard, Edwardian Lady will watch you on the recording and watch me live. Rock Jam, what are you drinking, Ben? This is dragon juice. It's what keeps me going. It's filled with energy. It fills me with energy and puts fire inside me. E-Man says, Cosmic Clan, because there isn't one unified establishment, there are different factions fighting dirty with each other. They don't expose each other completely because it would expose them all. I don't think the New World Order could take place if they didn't have a unity of purpose at the highest level, E-Man. And the factions appear to be, the only time factions start fighting dirty with each other is when something goes wrong and they disagree on how to handle it. It's Diego Rivera. Ben, lots of media scare stories about an asteroid hitting the Earth. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do space weather on Panama Radio, if you ever listen to that. So, yeah. There's been quite a few news stories about that, too, yeah. Steve, do you have any conferences to recommend in the next few months, Ben? Yes. There's the Probe conference coming up, which is weekend after next, which I'm going to. I'm speaking at several events, including East Anglia UFO Group, Swansea UFO Group. I'm speaking at Truth Seekers Northeast again. It's all on her Panama Voice. There's also the Awakening Conference I want to go to. That looks really good. And Alternative View 10, which is in May. There's plenty to do. Slackser, we'll have to do a video together when I return. Yeah, I'd love to, Slackser. I'd love to do a video with you. That'd be fun. That'd be really cool. We've never collaborated before, even though you have been on her Panama Radio. And that will be good, Slackser, says Steve. Yeah. Denise Moore says, gotta go, Ben. Bye, everyone. Bye, Denise. Thanks for posting. Hugo Roon says, everybody wastes their piss in this country. You should always go on a compost heap. Well, thanks, Hugo. I actually don't have a garden where I live, but my brother does. So maybe I'll take a few buckets loads around to him and see what he says. I'm sure he'll receive them very gratefully. Professor Fez. Hello, Professor Fez. How are you? Yeah, it's going to be terrible. A real wrath of God, fire and brimstone, chaos, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Yeah, that seems to be where it's going. Edwardian lady says there's a plague of rats running the country. Exactly. That's where the real rats are. Some drinking. I know, Steve. I know. This was a big thing on Critical Mass Radio. Everyone was doing their drinking their urine thing, urine therapy, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't bear it. It's just. I'll knock a few years off my life in order not to go through that process every day. I couldn't bear it. Cosm Claire. There's no agreed plan. The thing is, there is, isn't there, Claire? They do. They have unity of purpose. Sornable. Up, Matt. Hi, Matt. Hi, Sornable. Hugo Roon, Steve. I've done. I'm happy to do it now after a few beers. Really? Hugo, you do that, do you? You do that urine therapy stuff? Oh, God, blimey. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't do after a few beers. Professor Fez says, never quite trusted Maria Wheatley after she missed the treasure and fell in a puddle she didn't see. What? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Maria. I've been looking at Maria's work and I don't remember that bit. E-Man says, there are long-term plans to Claire. Yeah. Professor Fez says, Maltese language closely related to Toblerone. It's a chocolate joke, Maltese. All right, yeah. Andrew Munchkid. Hello, Andrew. Ben, can you give me a quick recap? Some joined the live stream late. Thanks. Well, it's in the description box, Andrew. I can't go through it all again. I'm sorry, but it's all about everything that's been happening with Brexit today and in the last few days. Slaxer says, nah, my face queen is Freddie Mercury. E-Man says, I do agree Trump is a relative outsider and the Bushes and Clintons are more or less in a different camp. That doesn't make him a great savior. He might be better somewhere. Trump is not just a relative outsider. He is a complete outsider. He was never meant to be president. They did everything they could to stop him. Everything. The entire media was against him. All of them. They all were, yeah. Cosmic Claire said, but they don't agree on what you just said. I think Claire was right in this debate, actually. She's making the points here that I agree with. And my video, my 2016 video is the one to see. Boudica lost, Ben. I know, Diego Rivera. I know. But, well, I've done whole videos about Boudica, so you can check those out. E-Man says to Claire, there are different plans on different levels and difference of opinion on how to implement those plans. I think no, only when things go wrong, E-Man. as is happening now. That's the only time they have different ideas. If you find people are very high up are disagreeing or quarrelling, it's probably because something's gone wrong in the agenda. You see that now more than ever. Cosmic Claire, Trump has to take down the deep state, or they will take him down. So he has to do it. Yes, he will. It's him or them, and I'd love to. I'd help any way I can. I really will. It's you know, the QAnon thing is very interesting. As I said, there's people who think it's fake. I don't agree. I think it's real. Julian Carver says, even many Remainers can see how this is a stitch up. It's a total mess. Yeah, my dad has actually said to me, he said he's lost interest in it because it's just so chaotic. And my dad is a diehard Ramoner. I've had arguments with him like hell. Professor Fez says, nah, Ben, Boudica wasn't the best queen. That title goes to Danny LaRue. Jake Fletcher. Ben, what do you think about Tommy Robinson? All right. Jake, I've mentioned Tommy Robinson a couple of times. I think he's essentially a decent guy. I don't think he's an insider. I don't think he deserves to go to jail. I think he has identified what's happening as part of the agenda to create a civil war situation. The problem with Tommy Robinson is he doesn't understand the cause, and I don't think you can rely on him to do the right thing in a situation. But I mean, I totally disagree with the people who say he's an evil racist and things like that. That's completely unfair, utterly unfair. Tikar Khan says, Islam is the true religion. Really, Tikar? Well, you believe in it if you want, as long as you don't enforce it on other people. But I mean, I don't believe the religion. You see, I don't believe any religion is the true word of God. I think God. See, God actually, if God created the universe, how can any religion possibly speak for God? Because the religions of the world we know today didn't exist a few hundred years ago. Religions of all religions, the mainstream organized religions, are an invention of the elite bloodlines, and the signs are all there within the text, such as the Bible. You see things such as the solar symbolism, the astrological symbolism, and things like that in the Bible. The God is, I mean, I believe there's a consciousness to the universe that it's convenient to call God. If you could express genuine spirit, if you find you want to express spirituality through an organized religion, that's absolutely fine. But I believe that, especially things such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, which talk about the real life of Jesus and things like that, I think are an indicator that the Christianity is. I know I've looked in detail into the background of Christianity. I know less about the background of Islam, but I think it's. I don't think any of them are true. Hi, Winslow. How are you? Tanika Khan says, learn the Quran. I've got a copy of the Quran. Where it's on? It's on my shelf somewhere. I may put it in the lounge because the thing is, I live with two Muslims. I live with two Muslims from Sudan. I think they might have wanted to read it, although they have their own. I have a copy of the Quran. It was given to me, actually. I was just walking down the street, and there was these guys with a stall outside a shop, and they were just giving them. There was a mosque. I think there was a mosque across the road. I think they were connected to them, and they were giving out these copies of the Quran, and they just handed one to me. They said, "Here you go, mate." They didn't want any money for it. Just a little small. It's quite a small book. It's a small print, but it's an English translation of the Quran. And I read a bit of it. It's very repetitive, I found. I couldn't really make head or tail of it. Cosmic Claire, Brexit and Trump are outside their plans. Yes, they are. You say these are plans and that they don't agree, then they say it's all coordinated. No, see, it is. Trump is literally a wild card. He was not meant to be there. E-Man says, I don't pretend to have a deep understanding at all, but I think it's pretty complex. There seems to have been an MI5 plot to kill Harry Neve, and he wasn't exactly an outsider. Yes, but Harry Neve was a government minister, and he was killed in what looks like a staged attack, just like Lord Louis Mountbatten. Supposedly it was an IRA hit, like it was with Harry Neve. Both were supposedly IRA hits, but the signs are there that this was actually an inside job. Jake Fletcher, Islam is evil. I think Islam can be used to do evil. I don't think. I mean, there's evil things in the Quran. when it talks about killing infidels and killing people because don't believe and stuff like that, then that's evil. You see the same things, of course, in the Bible and stuff like that. And the problem is at the moment with Islam is that because of the hate preachers from Saudi Arabia being brought into the country deliberately to brainwash people, these people are now being encouraged to do evil things. I mean, there's people who can believe in Islam and not be evil, and they can do good through their faith. I don't believe that Ahmed and Hassan, my housemates, are evil. I've lived with them since 2011, and there's another guy called Jelly who's now left. They're certainly not evil. They don't consider their faith to be evil. I don't think their faith encourages them as individuals to do anything evil. Diego Vera says the Kent Freedom Movement banned from YouTube. Why? That's awful. I mean, that's bloody. Is it? I mean, I actually. I'll tell you. Hang on. Yeah, their channel's gone. Oh bloody! That's awful. That's awful. I'm really sorry they've done that. Now, I'm actually saying that this is how my commitment to free speech is obvious here, because I actually blocked the Kent Freedom Movement because we had a terrible argument. I had a terrible argument with the two people who run it, and they were very nasty to me, and I blocked them. But I'm totally against them being removed. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of what they say, including they're into the flat Earth as well. But I'm absolutely horrified by that. They've been banned. Why? That's terrible. I'm sorry that happened. I really am. I hope they come back. I wish them all the best. Tigla Khan says, you don't know nothing about Islamic history. Learn the Quran, Jake. All right. Cosmic Claire, the IRA who killed Aaron Eve were puppets of MI5, but that had little to do with Trump or Brexit. It doesn't have anything to do with Trump or Brexit. But the IRA was infiltrated by MI5, and there was this. there's a book by Craig Thomas about this. It's called what was it called? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Not the Crying Game. Oh, but it was a really, really good thriller about this, and it turned out it was based on reality. Really, really good book. E-Man says, I say that because they are tied by common interests as well as being in conflict. You can see that in the Middle East. No, I think, I don't know why Aaron Eve was taken out, actually. I got a feeling Mountbatten was killed. I thought, what was it? Why was Mountbatten killed? I remember. But it wasn't the IRA who did it. It was an inside job. Assassination. Oh, gone to the bottom again. Got to scroll up. All right, okay. It's like popular kids fighting by picking up on no. I've read the Quran, Jay. It's full of hate. Neptune Chance. Islam was invented by the Vatican. It's interesting you say that. Yeah, there's good evidence for that, actually. That that it was essentially a move by the Vatican in the Middle Ages to open up a new front. E-Man says, I was saying MI5 killed him and use it as an example. Infighting among the elites. No, it wasn't. It's not infighting among the elites. It's Aaron Eve wasn't really elite. He was taken out because he was not any use. He wasn't high up, though. He wasn't like the Illuminati. Neither was Margaret Thatcher, actually. Islam is for peace and love. Well, Tika, there are elements of peace and love in it, and you can be a Muslim and you can use it, and you can be inspired to give out peace and love through Islam. I mean, the Sufis, for example, are very much like that. Again, alternatively, you can use it for evil. You can actually obey its evil passages and use it that way. And there was a time when Muslims actually compromised their beliefs so they could fit in to secular society. And now that's not happening anymore because of the hate preachers like I talked about. Claire says, but they have different goals and fight each other. If they attack Trump, that doesn't mean they support him. It means he's getting in their way. Yes, he is getting in their way. That's it. Hugo Roon, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all full of hate. Yes. This is why I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. And that's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Spiritual, but not religious. I wrote an article about that because some idiot in The Guardian said, right, well, I think it was The Guardian, started slagging off bloody start slagging off people because of that. Richard Dawkins doesn't like people who are spiritual but religious, not religious, you know. Slaxer says, even I am questioning the paradigm these days, yeah. And Claire says, whatever the case with MI5 and Aryan Eve, it has no connection to Brexit or Trump. It doesn't, no. E-Man, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Britain and France, US all compete or cooperate with each other in the Middle East, but they're not exactly best buddies. It's a marriage of convenience. Well, it's actually what it was they did cooperate. They were run by the same elite, actually, until 2016, until Trump took over. All those countries were run by the same, basically by the same forces. But now the US has now broken away. So has Russia. It's a good sign. Jake Fletcher, for the unbelievers, we have prepared fetters and chains of a blazing fire. Is that a quote from the Quran? Yeah, I mean, they do. You that's the thing about these things. Hugo Roon says, Jew, Orthodox Jew, Sephardic Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, 4 different gods. That's 4 different brands of the religion. E-Man says, I'm making a comparison. It was relevant in the context I made it. No, it's not. We know. Lab 26 says, ready for us. I can't read what he's saying here. Cosmic Claire says, the more factions you have trying to take down Trump, the more evidence that he's against them all, E-Man. Yeah. Slaxer says, listen to Slaxer. He's a fucking genius. Slaxer was making a video about his narcissism. Yeah. Charles says, no need to worry, Ben. There are no more Abbott clones. When the scientist saw what he'd done, he shot himself. Jam Noise, hi Soul brother, how Soul sister, how are you? Hi Jam Noise, how are you? I hope you're well, Soul sister. Hope you. It's good. Thanks for joining the live stream. It's really, really nice. Oh, Hugo Roon, Sunni, Shia, Ibadi, Wahhabi. That's 4 different gods, literally. Yeah, there's all kinds of different factions, isn't there? Even there are Zionist factions that support him. Okay. Diego Vera, MPs have rejected no deal. That means Brexit will not happen. Maybe it might not necessarily. As I was saying earlier in the video, there's a lot more contractions and things to go through in the political scene before we know exactly what's going to happen. But be assured, I will be covering it on this channel. I'll do other live streams. Israel controls the Islamic State, says Neptune Turns. Yeah, it created it. Yeah. E-Man is saying factions are fairly amorphous, like shifting allegiances. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Cosmic Claire, I do metaphysics. Well, there you are, Alchemy 432. You do have a fellow alchemist in the chat box now. Are you happy now? Someone called R1 says, greetings, Al, and something to Khaled Azrani. Well, like Khaled, I don't speak Arabic, so could you please translate into English? Hugo Roon says, Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant. That's hundreds of gods. Yeah, Hugo. You should see the Hindus. They've got millions of gods. E-Man says, Richard D. Hall seems to have changed his mind on the Joe Cox PSYOP being nothing to do with Brexit. Really, E-Man? Well, I'll find out when I watch Richard's video, which I'm going to get from the DVD, because I like to get the DVDs of his videos. I'm just like that. I like to have the sort of disc in my hand. I'm just old-fashioned like that. Jake Fletcher. If Tommy Robinson joins UKIP, they will take many seats in the next general election. They probably will, Jake, actually. I think he will bring people in. Whether UKIP can now be trusted, only I think Batten has to. If Batten's willing to get rid of all the bloody the shills, then yeah, maybe we've got a chance with UKIP. E-Man says the most basic contact with God is universal consciousness, and I think it's the esoteric backbone of most theology. Yes. Julian says Richard E. Hall connects Joe Cox to something different, nothing to do with Brexit. You know, Julian, I'm looking forward to watching this video. I really am. E-Man says he did it before, but in his latest doc, he considers it's a possible motive. Oh, cool. Professor Fez, email. Richard D. Hall is completely paranoid these days. Just these days. Either that or another con man. No, he's not a con man. Richard's not. He tells stories. He just tells stories really, and woe betide anyone who disagrees with him. He's not a con man. He's an honest man, but he doesn't take dissent kindly, which is why he probably won't like my video, my 2016 video, where I take him to task on some of the things he said about Brexit and the EU. But that's too bad. I'm not going to decline to disagree with Richard D. Hall because he doesn't like it and he's going to fall out with me. Tough shit. As I said that in the video. I says I'm defying him. I mean, I was polite. I didn't make any personal comments about him. I just said he was wrong. If you can't take that, well, I'd say to him, just grow up. I hope he grows up soon. But I don't know that. I'm anticipating his response. If I'm wrong about that, then I apologize. Sorry, Richard. I apologize to you. But he's not a con man. He is paranoid, but he's not a con man. I consider him one of the best people in this business, quite frankly. And emails asking about factions behind the scenes. Diego Rivera, have they freed Nelson Mandela yet? Blimey, Diego, you've really got the Mandela effect badly, haven't you now? If you think he's still in jail and he's let alone still alive. God, are you living in Geneva by any chance? You must be very close to the Large Hadron Collider to have that level of Mandela effect. Limespec says, I mean, Richard still makes a cracking documentary, but he has gone a little OTT with his tinfoil hat. He does. I mean, Richard's changed a lot. I mean, I remember when he first came on the scene and I met him at Pro, but he was quite easygoing. He was quite relaxed and he had a good sense of humor. He still does have a sense of humor, but he's become a lot more uptight in recent years. And I think he's got quite negative about some things. And he tends to jump to conclusions about people. And he's a bit overzealous with the old shell hammer as well. He knows, I think, now. I've told him so. Professor Fez, interestingly enough, in the original novel They Live, those were zombies, not aliens. It makes much more sense now, actually. Was it a novel, Professor? Is it based on a novel? I didn't know that. E-Man says, I know a bit about that. Ralph Ellis, he's an interesting guy, he is. Mary Magdalene founded the House of Orange. Still think that she could be connected to Zionism. Mary Magdalene, who had a baby with Jesus, in France. UFO So Serious says, hello, Ben. Hello, UFO So Serious. Professor Fez, the fight scene was there to showcase his wrestling. No, I don't think so. I don't think that, he was, of course, it was Rowdy Roddy Piper, the Canadian-Scottish guy who plays Nada. He was his acting role, where he's actually best known as a wrestler. But it was not to showcase his wrestling. There's no wrestling in it. He's just punching and kicking. There's no sort of like picking ups and throwing downs and things like that. And I think the scene was in there to illustrate the point that I said above. Jake Fletcher says, Ben, would you ever consider joining UKIP? By the way, it's nice to see you're back to your good old self and the trolls have fucked off. Yeah, I know. I missed them like a boil on the arse. Would I ever consider joining UKIP? I would never say I would. I wouldn't now, but would I ever? I can't know that because of the future. I would never rule it out completely, because if they turn into a real fighting force against the New World Order, I will join them. So the answer to that is yes, I might, under the right circumstances. Hugo was right. Oh, he's put his email in. That's okay. So Diego Rivera says, do the old National Health glasses work for seeing aliens in They Live? No, unfortunately not. I'm not that I ever wore them, but I knew some kids at my school used to wear them. And Professor Fess says, I think it's only zombies who wear them. Diego Rivera, Ben, you are quite famous. Does it make it easier to pull women? No, it doesn't. I don't think it does, actually. It's not the sort of fame that makes you very attractive to women. It's it's not like the way you're like a film star or something. My fame is sort of someone who like sits around making videos and rants at the screen, or takes people out to UFO conferences and things like that. It's actually a bit difficult. You can't, dating is very difficult in this business, partly because men outnumber women on the scene enormously. So if you're a heterosexual male, it makes it more difficult. And if there's not many girls around here who I can really date, because you go up to them and sooner or later when you're having your sort of flirtatious conversation, I'm going to have to mention the aliens, aren't I, and the Illuminati. And that's when she says, was that the time? I better be going. I'll call you. See what I mean? So the answer is no, it doesn't make it easier at all. Not this kind of fame. Lime Specs, Trump will lose big time in 2020. Lime Specs, I don't know. It depends on the QAnon stuff, and also whether he can overcome what's going on at the moment with the war and everything. Professor Fez, please don't do that with your hat again. You look like a Millwall fan. Do I? Professor Fez, punch in the air. Yeah. People have been punching the air about the EU. Jake Fletcher, Trump for 2020. I hope he can hold on to his office. I really do, because of course the deep state aren't going to go quietly. They're not going to give up. This is going to be the biggest battle in human history. This is going to be like Helm's Deep plus the battle for Middle Earth. And Corbyn in the face and chicken out. I gave it a cold. That culture of mine who's in charge, psychically, of course. Nice one, Charles. Constant Claire. YouTube is on YouTube. They Live is on YouTube in 9 segments. Oh, good. It's still on YouTube. It used to be on as a single segment, a single video. I've got the DVD of it anyway. But I'm glad it is on YouTube. It's quite an old film now. I don't think anyone will mind it being in the public domain. Lion Spec says, no, the Dem backlash will be immense. Sweeping victory probably for Kamala Harris or Bernie Sanders. Oh, God. I hope you're wrong, Lime Specs. I really do, because if that happens, I don't know how QAnon's going to explain that. And it will unfortunately mean that there's been an Empire Strikes Back situation from the deep state. Diego Rivera says, what age range go to your talks, Ben? All right, in terms of the audience, it tends to be quite, like many people in the conspiracy sphere, it tends to be sort of middle age or older, and that I think is because it tends to. I think you have to have a mature mind to deal with this sort of thing. There are people who are younger than that in there. I don't think it's, and I think it's like, it is a sort of thing it's information that comes to you through life experience. Although that might be changing soon with the speed that things are changing in the world. Hugo Roon says, 8 to 80, says Lime Specs. I've had 80-year-olds and 80-year-olds at my talks. Hugo, and I'm guessing that by the time you get this message, it will be good night time. So I'll say good night now, though. I will stick around to see if I'm correct. Well, Hugo, thank you very much for posting and for watching. And I do hope there's still 48 people watching this stream, and I've been going for 2.25 hours. I hope you're still watching. MP Hugh Jassols can get the UK out of the EU in 24 hours. Hugh Jassols, who's that? I think you mentioned something about Hugh Jassols being decent. When was that? Was that in the notice something? Check the comments. Well, good. I hope he can. I really hope he can. R1 says, would you consider occasionally participating in live debates on YouTube? Debates range from day to day, including your field of work. Absolutely. I've done that before. I was actually on a skeptic radio show. It's called Be Reasonable. It's been recorded. It hasn't been broadcast yet, but I had a very good time. I was on a radio show with a skeptic for a whole hour, and it was a good debate. And when it's broadcast, you'll be able to see it on Panama Voice. Barbara Whittle. Hello, Barbara. Yes, thank you. President Trump is up against the evil Illuminati bloodlines. He is. Trump doesn't drink alcohol, doesn't he? Oh, right. Professor Fez Claire, he drank worse things. Israel Diego Rivera. Do many women go to your talks, Ben? Yes, especially in the Truth Seekers Northeast. It's mostly women, because Truth Seekers Northeast is centered around the spiritualist community, which is actually more. See, the UFO paranormal conspiracy world tends to be about 80% men. The spiritualist world is about 80% women. So it's mostly women who actually attend Truth Seekers Northeast. There are plenty of men too, but it's like over 3/4 women. And it's a lovely group. I really like them. I get on really well with them. Right. None, says Neptune Returns. Not true. Not true, Neptune Returns. Jacob Lennon says, fuck Brexit. Everyone who voted out of the EU is a fat bastard. Well, thanks for the intellectual discussion, Jacob. Is that your parliamentary contribution? Professor Fez says, too much carrot juice, for example. What happens if you drink too much carrot juice? You turn orange. And if you eat too many carrots, your skin turns orange, although it's not permanent. If you stop eating carrots, it will go away in a couple of weeks, but you can make yourself turn orange. Julian Carver says, Westminster politicians will actually have to do some fucking work if we come out of the EU, instead of sitting around drinking, smoking, farting, snorting coke and fucking each other. I'm sure they'll do all that as well still, but it won't be a paradise. It won't be the end when we come out. If we have Brexit, Brexit's just the beginning. It's just the first step. It's the first victory in the battle, but it's not the end of the war. Jake Fletcher says the BBC hate white Brits. Yes, they do. Neil Desperando, have we all stopped paying the TV license, chaps? Neil, absolute. Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's just taken out the rent, but I would otherwise not pay it. We shouldn't. Don't forge your own shackles, guys. And Lime Spec says, night, Ben. A few beers for us all tomorrow. I think we deserved it. Yeah, I could do with a few. I think. Neptune Returns. The mainstream media all hate Trump. Never say a good thing about him. They love Peter Clintons. Yes, exactly. Lime Specs. I hooked up with a chick at one of Ben's talks. Is that right, Lime Specs? Did you? All right. Well, I'm glad to have inspired your meeting. Were you at one of my talks? Oh wow! I don't know you. I must have met you. But I'm glad to have inspired you with that. I actually met Sue Stain at an anti-New World Order protest in London in 2008. I remember, yeah. Neptune Return says the mainstream would hate Trump. Yeah, they love. Yeah, here we go. Let's come back. Most women hate conspiracy theorists. Said Diego Rivera. I think hate is too strong a word. I think most of them think you're a bit odd if you're a conspiracy theorist, like most men do, and they just. Neptune Returns. They are sheeple. They're obsessed with babies. Well, of course they are. Women have to. It's a reproduction thing. Professor Fess says Trump was a symptom, not a setup. I don't know what you mean by that, but Trump is the he is the guy I think who I think is the only one of the few decent, honest men who's ever got into politics lately. He really is. There's others like Vladimir Putin and Joanna Sigurðardóttir of Iceland. Those three people I think are decent people who actually got into power and got to become heads of states. And that's a good sign. It's a good sign. Diego Rivera says, David Icke says Trump is part of the New World Order. Yeah, Diego Rivera, he's one of these he's a 2016 denier, and that's why he's wrong. David is completely wrong about that. 69 Phuket, hiya. Night all, night. Thanks for coming. Didn't want to comment. Nice, Laxer. Well, thanks for dropping in and watching 69 Phuket. Professor Fez. You do know that Boudica was built like a gorilla and had syphilis and no teeth. Did she? Was that in Tacitus? I didn't read that bit. Neptune Returns says, Boudica reincarnated as Diane Abbott. I don't think so somehow. I think she's much more likely to be Jam Noise or Cosmic Claire or Edwardian Lady. Professor Fez says, no, Ben, the Dead Sea Scrolls don't mention Jesus once. All right. There's a Jesus son of Ananias, a high priest, but that's a completely different person. Oh, is that so? All right, okay. Well, thanks for letting me know, Hugo. I mean, Professor Fez. That's the sort of thing Hugo would say. That's why I thought you were Hugo, sorry. Susan Hayward Tonkin. Hello, Susan. Good morning. Hope I didn't get you up too early. E-Man says, I think Ralph Ellis has the most interesting theories about the real Jesus. He is very interesting what he says about Jesus. Especially that Jesus was here in Britain in Chester. That's quite something. He died in Pakistan, I believe, Jesus. There's a tomb of Jesus in Pakistan. It's very interesting. He spent some time with some Buddhists as well. Pierre Larouge says, why would you live with people from the Sudan? I think you mean, why do I live with them? Because they were actually here when I moved in, and they have the other rooms in the home. I live in a flat, and they have the other 2 rooms. I didn't choose them as housemates, but they were the housemates I ended up with, and we get on very well. They're good guys. Professor Fez says, Bart Ehrman is excellent on the subject. All right. Susan Hayward, I've gone down to the bottom again. Got to scroll up. All right. Oh, good. It's not that long. So I'm getting a bit tired now. Susan Hayward Tonkin says, I'm having my first coffee. It seems like this stream has been going a while. It's been going since 9 a.m. my time, Susan. But I'm glad you're up and enjoy the coffee and everything. Neptune says, Mountbatten was a paedophile, was he? I don't know. Cosmic Clay, you should read Tommy's book on the Quran or follow Dr. Bill Warner on Political Islam channel. Claire, I do. I follow Dr. Bill Warner. I've not read Tommy's book, the Quran, the Muhammad's Quran, but I know someone's got a copy of it. And I follow Dr. Bill Warner on the Political Islam channel. He's very interesting. But I think, like Tommy Robinson, he understands the effects and the situation and its effects. That is the rise of Islamic radicalism in the world. But he doesn't address its cause, and neither does Tommy Robinson. Maybe they'll learn that. Maybe they'll come around to that. I don't know. E-Man's talking about Bart Ehrman, someone I've never heard of. Professor Fez, it's a lack of education, Ben. Biblical Hebrew is not a language as such. It's a ceremonial dialect with no upper-lower case discrimination. Impossible to tell what it's allegory. All right, okay, well, that's true. But the thing is, Professor Fez, it's used as a lingua franca now in much of the Jewish world, especially within Israel, colloquial Hebrew. It's essentially a revival, a bit like what they've done with Cornish and Manx here in Britain. So it is actually a spoken language now. Fez says, Eamon, ancient history isn't a science. At the best anyone could do. A hypothesis what may have happened. Well, there's evidence in history. you can work out what happened from the evidence. Eman says, Enoch Powell thought that the British and American intelligence services killed Airey Neave. He may be right. Does he say why Airey Neave was killed? Cosmic Claire, the Vatican had little power in the 7th century when Islam began. Oh, right. Well, I don't have the information about where this idea that the Vatican created Islam, Claire. But if I can find it, I'll let you know. Iman Padurima says, I agree, but you can join the dots and make a case. Yeah, that's it. Susan says, I have copies of all the books of the religions. I read them all as part of my religious studies. They're all the same, really, lead to the same place and are fear-based. Yeah. Well, I've only read the Bible of all the major texts and a bit of the Quran. Yeah, I mean, I didn't read enough of the Quran probably to work out what it was all about. But the Bible is very confusing. It's fear-based. It's all sorts of different stories by lots of different people. Not all of them intended their work to be put into an anthology, I think. Susan also says, no, sorry, Professor Fez, Iman, what are the dots, though? Dealing with long dead languages is guesswork. Well, no, you can work. Linguistics is another thing. We have Slim Thick God who says, look at this fat plod of a cunt sitting in his government-paid home complaining. Well, that's what you. Well, really, you skinny git. Who are you anyway, you bloody troll? Is that all you can contribute? Just call me names. And my home is not government paid; it's private rental. So get lost. Get out of my sight, troll. Ralph Ellis says, E-Man backs up the argument that Israelites were his sauce, pointing out that Joseph has thought so. Yeah. Thatcher was a guest at the Rothschilds. Yes, Diego Rivera. Yeah. I think at the time she was working for the agenda at that time. And she was removed when she turned against the EU. Quite easily, actually. The Iron Lady was nothing but a paper dolly in the end. Now, yeah, Christianity was a Roman weapon of propaganda. Yeah, that's there's a guy, what was it, Joseph Atwell says that, and I've interviewed him, and he's very interesting. Aid, hi buddy. Scuff Jays, who are you? I'm Ben. Who are you, Scuff Jays? Ben Emlyn Bones, Binlin Bones. Okay, more talk about Ralph Ellis. APP, you guys hate Jews. No, we don't. Shut up. Well, we haven't said a word about Jews, except in an intellectual sense. Not once have we said there's anything wrong with Jews. I've made an entire video explaining why Jews are not behind the New World Order. Not behind the New World Order. Scuff Jays, go Ireland. No, are you talking about the rugby? No way. Wales are going to win. Hugo Rune is still here. That's great. Hugo, you missed my point. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all supposed to be the same God. I say there are hundreds just within those three. Well, they differ so much on their beliefs that you'd think they were talking about different gods. Do you live in a government apartment, eh? No. Professor Fez, doubtful. Jesus was an Aramaic-speaking society. It was completely illiterate. Okay. Cosmic Claire. SRT. Richard D. Hall. We can only advance by comparing disagreements. Yeah, of course. That's true. Okay. And more talk about Ralph Ellis. I think this is a conversation with E-Man and Diego Rivera. I'll let them get on with it. And Professor Fez. Jesus spent his youth in Britain, says Hugo. Yeah, well, Hugo, I think he visited the Druids. You know that song? And did those feet in ancient times? Jerusalem. Yeah. Based on the William Blake poem. He also went to France, and I believe he died in Pakistan. I wrote an article on the Panama Voice about Jesus' death. ARP says, how much spice or K2 do you smoke in a day? Round about 0. Nothing. All right. Eva, there's more talk about Ralph Ellis. Yeah. Crack or speed? No, I don't, Pac-Man. Are you all the same person? Videos from the underground. Says aliens and the Illuminati for the right woman is a turn-on. Not many of them, though. Most are just too much mainstream and conventional thinking. I've tried. Well, yeah, of course, Sue Stain, of course. I could talk about aliens all day, and she was fine with that. That's why we got on so well. That's why we were together for 8 years. But you're lucky, actually, if you meet someone like her. I was very lucky. Here we go. Carrying on and on and on. Hugo, I'm still here. You proved me wrong. Okay. Neptune Return says, huge assholes. I think Neptune Return is talking about some boarding school. Jake Fletcher. Ben, do you still have your alien chip? If so, please get it removed and do a video about it. Get an analysis. Well, you know, I'm not sure. It's here. I've not done anything about it. I don't know if I've had it. It's been a couple of years since my last scan. If it's still in there, I could get it removed. I got the money together. But, you know, I know someone who had their chip removed, and within a week, another one had been put back in there in the same place. Whoever put it or whatever put it in there the first time replaced it. The Cockmeister. Good evening. Are we talking Brexit or are we back to the norm? Well, we're talking about all kinds of things at Cockmeister, and welcome. More about, where are we now? I'm getting tired now, sorry. More about Ralph Ellis, Cockmeister. I voted out. The only real Brexit was WTO. May's deal had to get voted down. If we had stayed in the single market, the customs union, Brexit is nothing but no. Yeah, well, May's deal was Brexit in name only, it was called. And that's why it was turned down. Well, she drafted the deal just specifically to get it rejected by Parliament. Hugo Rune, Ben, there was a range of interesting opinions about Jesus. Do a video on that. Why not? Maybe I will. Hugo, I've done a Panmo Voice article about Jesus, if you're interested. Jake Fletcher, you guys heard of Avi Yamini? No. Blah, 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 blah. More about Ralph Ellis. John Nolan, hello. John. Trump will not bow down to the reptilian overlords. No, he won't. I believe that he will not capitulate. Trump is he's too strong for that. He won't capitulate. Where are we now? Cockmeister. I've never voted Tory. I was in the United Union, just left. I've received my UKIP membership card today. It'll be UKIP or for Britain in the future. Getting my vote. Fuck both main parties. Well, Cockmeister, you know, I think there at some point there may be an alliance of these small anti-Brexit parties at some point. Treacherous wankers, says Cockmeister. Yeah. Videos from the underground. Hate for Trump has been encouraged and called for. Yes, it has. People who've been ideologically brainwashed gladly join in. Much better to be independent, look at both sides rather than be a robot. Yes, precisely. Professor Fair said about... Oh, I'm down at the bottom again. Got to scroll up. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm getting close to the end now. That's good. Jamnoy72 says, enough about bloody Brexit, says... Sorry, that's Hugo Room. Enough about bloody Brexit. Jamnoy72 says, MP huge assholes. Huge ass. Oh, right, that's it. I get it. Huge assholes. Huge ass. Oh, all right. Huge ass. Oh, I get it. Yes, I get it. Sorry, it went over my head. Huge assholes is the best MP. Groove Dodger says, oh, hello, Groove Dodger. Oh, okay. Watton says, do join the debates on these two channels, Respect Rebellion and Red Pill Thrill. Okay, Red Pill Trill. Okay. Oh, that word is Arabic for peace be unto you. Well, thank you, I'll subscribe to those. Respect Rebellion, Red Pill Thrill. Respect Rebellion. There's Respect Rebellion. Oh, here we go. Oh, we are Respect Rebellion. I see them. Yes. All right, I'll subscribe to that one. What's the other one called? A Red Pill Trill. Okay, here we go. Getting tired now. Red Pill Trill. I see it. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, right. Okay, then where are we now? Okay. Did Jesus eat? Diego Reyes, did Jesus eat curry? Is that burning hell? There we go. Right. Blah, blah, blah. Boxing fan. Hello, boxing fan. Anything other than basic free trade deal is just a gender form of roommate. Yeah. Well, exactly the Brexit name only. The Norway plus. Norway 2.0, etc., etc. Rod, hello, Rod. I attended a prostate test and found out that the man who carried out my examination was just a visitor. I should have been suspicious when he said I might feel an erection, which turned out to be his. God dear me. That's private healthcare for you. Hugo, right. Hugo Rooney and I'm not going to read out this debate between E-Man and Hugo and Diego about this thing. Louis Tushu says, I like people who walk through glass. They are fun. It's not fun for them when the glass breaks. Cosmic Claire, very interesting, Ben, but I have to go to bed as I'm dropping off. Thanks for stream. You're welcome, Claire. Thank you very much for posting. The recording will be up soon. I'm going to have to go to bed too soon as well. Neptune Turn says, no piss in 2.5 hours, Ben. Oh, right. Yeah, I'm going to have to go soon as well, I guess. Talk about thanking people for the stream. There's going to be quite a stream coming from me soon. Blah de blah. Right. Mary Louise. Hello, Mary Louise. It wasn't Gandhi. It was Schopenhauer. Oh, thank you. It was Schopenhauer. Okay. Schopenhauer was the guy. Right. He wrote he wrote a book called The Art of Being Right as well, which is very interesting. It's I think some people in his chat box have been reading that. Neptune tells, I like to piss in the garden, Hugo. It's natural. Well, there you are. You're getting it into the compost, aren't you? Louis Two Shoes. Oh, pistol. Yeah, well, I didn't start it, Louis. Blame Hugo. Videos from the Underground says, I'm off to do my own UFO meeting. Thanks for the chat. You're welcome, Videos from the Underground. And thanks for posting. It's 44 people still watching. But I'm going to have to end soon. TK says, I think this is mostly fantasy. Lizards rulers. No, the lizards are real. David Icke is right about that. There we go. The lizards ruling the world. So let's discuss Brexit. Sure. The TK, the two are connected, believe it or not. As outlandish as one of them might seem, the lizard one, there's a direct connection there with Brexit. In fact, if you watch Seeking the Truth with Caroline Stevens on Monday, you'll have seen we actually went into that exact subject. Neil Desbrandon, what do you think of the late Colin Wilson? I think he's brilliant. I think I've only read one of his books, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And what's more, Colin Wilson was a hospital porter. He was. I found out he's a hospital porter in Nottingham. He works as in the pharmacy as well, but before he was a pharmacist, he was a porter. Neptune Return says, there is a Doors bootleg called The Lizard King Plays London. Oh, right. Oh, I wonder how, well, you know, I wonder how much they knew. Well, you know about what Neil Sanders has said and what Mark Devlin has said about the Doors of Perception, and about Jim Morrison and their connection to the mind control, things like that. Oh, right. So what, says TK? What do you mean, so what? There's a connection between the lizards and Brexit. Okay, there are lizards, yes. The reptilians. All right, guys, I've come to the end. Some minor political event. Yeah. Do you mind if I end it now? I'm getting tired. I've been going for almost 2 3/4 hours. So I've got to go to bed. I've got to go to work tomorrow. So, gentlemen and ladies, and the 45 people still watching, thank you very much for watching. And everyone in the chat box, thank you very much for posting. Neptune Returns, Professor Fez, Hugo Roon, TK, Neil Desperandum, and everyone else. Night, Hugo. Night. Thanks for sticking it out to the end, Hugo. And Julian, did he return to the Lizard King? All right. Night, Julian. Night. Jim Morrison referred to himself as the Lizard King. All right. Charles declassified still. Just letting you know I'm here and you're still on my list. All right. Bye, Susan. Shapeshift now, Ben. All right. I will when the camera's off. Night, Eamon. Good night, all of you. God bless. And thank you, all of you, for tuning in to this really interesting live stream. I'll keep an eye on the channel, because I'll probably do another live stream, because there'll probably be an update on the Brexit thing. So I'll probably do another live stream soon. Hey, Aussiecast. Night. You guys take care. Night, TK. Night. Bye, Neptune Returns. And I'll see you again soon. I'll be back on. There'll be another video soon, probably another live stream. And also, there's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow as well, which I can't tell you about now. But I'm going to shoot another video tomorrow, and it's going to be very interesting indeed. And I can't tell you in advance what it's going to be. There's a need for secrecy. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Night, Luke. Night. You guys take care. Yeah, I'm a bit tired. So, Groove Dodger, you're welcome. You're welcome. And sleep well, everybody. Keep up the good fight.